Hello and welcome to Sutro Sidetalk, episode 157. I'm your host, Kamran Shushtar, and with me is
James Sillig.
James. 2 years and 4 months. That is how long I was able to outrun COVID until it finally caught up to me. And then COVID came and said, "Gotcha." And I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm at Disneyland. What do you want from me?"
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like there's so many people there that like the likelihood was high, but yeah, no, it's at this point it's like everyone is gonna get it at some point. It's here to stay. Yeah. I'll get it at some point, but like I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's my whole family got it, and otherwise LA was fine. I'm just also just like
LA was LA.
LA was LA. I got to catch up with some friends, which I was very happy about, and then I got really worried because once I found out after I got home I got COVID, I was like, "Oh God, I hope I didn't give it to them. Oh God, I hope they didn't give it to me." But I'm like, I was more so like, God, I hope I didn't give it to them. I'd be really sad if that occurred. It's like I haven't seen you in years. You have COVID, bitch.
Surprise gift.
Yeah. Here you go. Also, if you guys hear me cough randomly, that is the small little side effect of COVID. Otherwise, I've been pretty much fine. It's been like I've been pretty much okay. The cough isn't even like, oh God. It's like, oh, I forgot to keep breathing. And it's a reminder of, hey, remember to like, exhale and inhale and stuff. And I'm like, oh, right. I guess I haven't been doing that. I haven't really been paying attention. It's been weird. I don't know how to describe that, but yeah. It feels like it's been a while. I know you guys got an episode last week, but that was pre-recorded the same time as it was what 155 and 156. We did that episode on well, the last episode was on Jurassic World Dominion and Obi-Wan. Two disappointing things to me. And then the one before that, what did we do before that? I don't remember anymore already. I already forgot.
Okay, it's been a while because it's been a few weeks at this point.
Yeah, it was let me oh, it was the Top Gun episode. That's what it was. Yeah, so we talked about Top Gun and JoJo and
oh yeah.
Mira. Yeah.
We had Miles on.
Yeah, Miles is on for that one. This week though, we're staying current and we are getting the latest stuff to you that's not Thor. Because I can't go to a movie theater.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed in right now, guys. I have to stay in my room. Stranger Things 4 or season 4, whichever. I don't really know what they call it these days. And The Boys season 3 both just finished, and we're talking about both. I have some pretty good notes on both, I'd say. And yeah, we're gonna knock those out.
Cue that Gordon Ramsay meme, like finally some decent fucking food.
Yeah, really. Honestly, after Obi-Wan and Jurassic, this is a very welcome, and God, so it was a nice breath of fresh air.
I was even a little bit more positive on Obi-Wan than you, but
yeah,
like these both, I was like hooked.
Other people I was talking to hated it. Like I always say, I'm like, I'm one of the more positive people, even when I hate something. Just know that I have friends that are 20 times more critical and hateful of something than I am. Especially Obi-Wan. I'm more positive than many others in Obi-Wan.
I mean, to stick with Star Wars, there's always a bigger fish.
Yes, in the planet core.
I love how as a kid that did not register with me, like how little sense going through the planet core meme.
God, could we just also? I still really, I would let all of the current Disney Plus and movies of all the Star Wars stuff be canceled. If I could just get Attack of the Clones in 3D in theaters.
You'd want those to come back?
We were supposed to get all of them, and then Lucas got bought.
I didn't even manage to see the Phantom Menace in 3D.
Oh my God, I have the Pod Racer 3D glasses. That was so great. Did you know I got the theater to laugh twice?
Oh, I remember you mentioning this.
Yeah, it was when Qui-Gon gets into the ship after he first faces off Maul and Tatooine. And he's like, Obi-Wan, this is Anakin, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I just go, he's gonna cut your legs off. And everyone starts fucking dying in the theater. And then at the end, when they're burning Qui-Gon and they're like, the Sith, there's always a master and apprentice, always two, never more, never less.
That guy.
Yeah, and they're like, well, who was killed? The master, the apprentice. And they show Palpatine. I'm like, he's right there. He was fucking loving it. It was great. I think when Jar Jar came on, And when Anakin says, "I'm a person, my name's Anakin," everyone was clapping. We were just like, "Yeah, yeah."
Dude,
It was great.
it's so embarrassing that I mean, I was literally the age that they were targeting with Jar Jar when that movie came out and I saw it, but I loved Jar Jar when
I
that
mean,
movie first came out
who
because I
did
was a
not
kid.
want to use the Dabuma? Okay, I don't. You just gotta use the boomer. We just don't have a boomer. You
Dude,
just gotta get a boomer. Okay.
he was a goofy Gungan and he
He
was
was a
hilarious. I
goofy. He
loved
was the
him.
best Gungan. He was a dude. He was bomb bad. All right, no one gets that. He was so bomb bad,
He saved
and
the day at the end.
he was fucking fantastic. You gotta be really something
And he
to
stepped in
bomb bad
Poodoo. It
you
was
guys.
hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, Bulldog. I just also love all the different like Quadranero, and then that one dude that crashes and he's like, or
Okay.
the other guy's like, and he
I
just
know
blows up.
I know we're getting way off on a tangent,
Yes.
but
This is the episode one
that pod
podcast,
racer
guys.
scene is still legitimately good.
Oh, it's amazing. And all the
It's
sound effects for them
weird
too.
how
It's
good it still is.
like the way they just, oh my God, it's
Dude, it's
fantastic.
like it's half the reason why I love the Destiny Sparrow sound effect because it sounds like a pod racer.
Oh, it's great, especially when you boost. People don't get the
Mm-hmm.
prequels. All right, the prequels aren't good. The prequels are not good, but they are so full of life and original content that you're just like, if only George didn't have that many yes men, and you could have
Yeah.
just had people that were making sure the writing and dialogue were great, these films would be fantastic. Potentially even better than the original trilogy. I don't know. But yeah, they just kind of fucked up. But the concepts were really fucking cool. Like I love the shit. Yeah, I make fun of it, but it's also think about it. You have that much fun to make fun of something like that, but you still would like, I would watch it again. I'd watch Phantom Menace 8 more times in like 2 weeks if I
There's
wanted
still
to and
definitely
be
enjoyable
happy.
at moments to them. Like, yeah, like the pod racer scene, great. Darth Maul fight scene at the end, still amazing.
Yes. Oh, very much so. Duel of the Fates is just the best ballet I've ever seen. It's fucking fantastic. So good. So fucking good.
And yet, literally earlier tonight, I was shitting on The Last Skywalker again because I can't help myself. That movie's so bad.
I mean, it's just yeah, they're just yeah, they just they don't make you happy or sad. They make you annoyed, and you're just not like, oh, at least it was original. It's like no, they just copied literally everything and just did little like twists and turns around everything. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Sutro Sidetalk. We talk what we've been watching and playing, and a bit of news here and there. And yeah, like I said, we're doing Stranger Things for The Boys season 3. A little bit of news. It's all gaming, Ubisoft and God of War related. Um, and I guess we'll wait till the end of the show to talk about potentially all the different things coming up. Because there's a lot of like it's actually not even like we're running out of shit. It's actually, oh my God, we don't have enough episodes and time to talk everything. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. But with that said, you want to just jump right in?
Sure.
All right. So first off, we got Ubisoft. They said in September they have a gaming event coming up, kind of like Ubisoft Forward, I believe, but it's like their little showcase that's going to have. Do you remember how many games they said they would have for it?
I missed this. I mean, well, I heard that there was a Ubisoft show coming, but I didn't really look into it because I was just like, oh no, they are doing a forward. Oh God.
Well, November 8th is when Skull and Bones will finally release. Oh, fireworks! Will finally release their fireworks are outside.
I thought that was someone like moving something in my house.
Yeah.
I
So
felt it.
yeah, November 8th, Skull and Bones is finally arriving. I know, I
Yeah.
can't believe we're
I did
actually
see
getting it.
that
Holy
like
shit.
7-ish minutes gameplay video on that. And I guess my major takeaway on that is just okay.
Yeah, and okay, so this is interesting. Skull and Bones, there'll be a Skull and Bones Ubisoft Forward in July this month. I guess did they already have it? Was that what they already did?
Yes. It was like
Okay,
a
so I haven't
7 or 8
watched it
minute
at all.
thing.
I haven't watched any of the Skull and Bones shit. So, all right, in September there's gonna be a thing, and it's gonna reveal new stuff and things on. It's gonna have several games. It's September 10th at 12 p.m. Pacific time.
You think we might finally see Division Heartland?
I think they said several games. I'm expecting at least. I'm thinking there's at least 2 Assassin's Creed games alone. The next entry into Assassin's Creed Infinite, which is like that crazy multiplayer potential, like fucking ever
Yeah.
evolving world game.
So
Division
you think
Heartland.
they're going to do a single player thing too?
Yes, I mean the regular Next Century.
Oh,
That's
okay,
separate, like
okay.
separate titles, separate teams. So those Division Heartland, the Ghost Recon Battle Royale that they're working on. They already came out with Rainbow Six, right? Yeah. I don't think we'll see Prince of Persia remake
Oh
since they've
no,
been.
you think we could see X Defiance again?
I don't want to
Forgot
see
about that,
that.
right?
I don't want to see that. I'm gonna act like you didn't say that. And I'm gonna skip over that.
Every time it comes up on one of my podcasts, I was like, "Oh yeah, that game."
Splinter Cell remake, maybe, but I also doubt that. Oh, Avatar
Dude, if they
Frontiers
did
of
a Chaos
Pandora.
Theory remake, that'd be amazing.
Avatar Frontiers of Pandora.
Oh
That's
yeah,
gonna be a
that
big
too.
one.
Mhm.
Those 5 for sure, I think. So 2 Assassin's Creed, 2 Tom Clancy, Avatar. They could tease the Star Wars game that they're working on from the same team that's doing Avatar.
Oh, I'm thinking of EA. I was gonna say we could also see the more from Fallen Order
Yeah,
too,
because it's
but
a
no.
massive entertainment or massive games. I forget what they're called, but those are the ones that are working on it. I don't think. Do you think they'll show more Skull and Bones there? Or are they just probably gonna just wait till
I don't know.
they
Probably not.
could if they wanted to. I don't think they'll show anything of Far Cry or Watch Dogs. Rainbow Six, they could show more content, but they already came out with Extraction. I don't even know if anyone played that, to be honest.
So like the kind
Uh,
of funny crew played it for like a week or something and they liked it, but like a lot of the reviews were like it's very generic and I don't know. It just didn't sound like something I wanted to play.
and the amount of multiplayer games there are now, I don't have time for another one like
That too,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Like you just got me playing Hunt Showdown, which I want to play more of that at some
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And like I still haven't played any of this season of Destiny. And like I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise.
I started playing the Cycle Frontier, which is like Tarkov. It's like if Tarkov and Hunt had a little baby. And that
Interesting.
is, I was actually playing that right before recording. And after this, I'm either playing Hunt, Cycle, or oh wait, I have to edit. Fuck. Well, after I don't know. I'm gonna play something. I'm gonna play something for sure. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there's those games. I think we'll see what happens. It's in September, so we got a couple months until we actually get it. God, I haven't touched my backlog at all. This fucking blows. Other than that, God of War Ragnarok. We finally got 30 seconds of just like a cinematic, and it's Kratos and Atreus talking. And James, is it me or did that feel more? My blood was pumping more for 30 seconds of that than the entirety of the E3 week.
I mean, I don't know. I think I probably said this on the podcast before, but I don't think I could get more hyped for this show or for this game. So I was just like, yeah, this is an awesome trailer. Oh, cool. We finally got a release date. Oh, cool. Special editions. How much money do I need to spend?
Is it weird though? Does that feel weird that like we went through all of those showcases, all those different things throughout that whole thing, and you're like, wow, all right, and then they show this, and I'm like, why?
You might be right there though. Like I don't know. Like there are some trailers that showed in like some of those shows. Like I kept talking about the 9 Years of Shadow. I personally thought that was a really cool trailer for that game, but it definitely is hard for me to think of a single trailer that was cooler than this one because
I mean,
I'm so hyped for it,
it shows
dude.
you
Like the
what
giant,
games. It shows you what games get your blood pumping as
for
well.
sure. Like just the image of the giant wolf at the end, which might be like the Fenris wolf, and then like Atreus is definitely older, and like obviously the kid is older too because
Yes,
the voice is different.
yes, he is. That was really cool. It's just funny,
Like
like you watch the whole Xbox showcase, and you're just kind of like looking at your watch or something, like, all right.
yeah,
And then you
like
see this, you just see 30 seconds, and you're like, I can't believe it.
no, that's a good point because like we talked about how for the Xbox conference we were just like, there's a lot of cool stuff there. There's a lot of okay stuff, and it's like a lot of like, oh, here's why you should keep your Game Pass subscription because you'll at least have something interesting to play every month, but nothing like strictly specifically you need to play on Xbox. Like you could also play on PC and stuff like that, or like it's also on PlayStation. Probably it's just like it'll be included in your Game Pass subscription. But for this, it's like, oh no, this game is why you want a PlayStation 5. Or well, I mean, it's also coming in PlayStation 4, but like this is why you want a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Is games like this shit where it's just like, oh my god, I need to play this like as soon as possible. Just give it to me.
And then they're like, I know some people are probably like, I'll wait on for it on PC, and it's like, all right, have fun waiting for like 3
Yeah.
fucking years, dude.
And that's
Like,
that's fair.
that's 3 years just on PlayStation.
No, dude, my PC has spoiled me because now I'm just like, oh, I can play things at such high settings and like at higher frame rates and at 4K too. And I have to like pick and choose on both my consoles whether I do 4K or like higher frame rates. And so now like PC gaming has spoiled me. So I understand those people that are just like, nah, I'll just wait for PC.
Yeah, no, it does make sense, honestly, especially if you don't want to spend money on a console.
But still, like the fact that like I have a PlayStation 5, so it's like I will literally play these on PlayStation, even though I would maybe get more out of or a more enjoyable experience if I played them on PC. I still will absolutely play them on PlayStation as soon as I can, just because I love these games.
Until I get like until I get build a new desktop, there's no point for me to get anything on PC that's going to be on PS5 at this point.
That's fair.
Yeah. But once I do, things will change, and maybe I'll rebuy. I'm not rebuying all those PlayStation games on PC. I'm not doing that shit. No way. You can't get me to do that when I still have a fucking backlog. I'm not gonna do that.
I'm
again.
like actually considering buying The Last of Us remake 2 times because it'll come to PC.
Yeah, here I am saying like I'm not gonna do that. I'm like, yo, can I get that Last of Us remake on PS5, please? Like you
2 times, please.
Yeah. But yeah, November 9th. It's funny. It comes a day after Skull and Bones, so you have about 12 hours to play Skull and Bones before you throw that out of the way for God of War, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, there was was it Square Enix put out a statement saying like we talked to our partners and we're gonna move Forspoken again out of this date, and then like literally the God of War date was dropped, and people were going like, yo, did Sony just basically call Square Enix and say like you might want to move the date of your game?
The gods are coming here, and they're like, oh fuck, Forspoken, misspoken, we're moving here. Actually, that's what happened. Yeah, and it's funny too because I used to be big on collector's editions during the PS3 era. I got like all of the collectors for like Halo, all the PlayStation exclusives, stuff like that. And I finally like PS4 was like it was like only getting, I'd say, a fifth of the amount of collector's editions I would get for PS3. And then PS5, I'm like, nah, unless it's the Destiny expansion one, I probably won't. But I saw the God of War Jotnar edition and
yeah, like I don't know
collectors, and I'm like, I want those dice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if I really need the Jotnar edition necessarily, because like you get the patches look cool. They're nice and metal. The dice do look cooler. And then you do get like the
cloth map.
You get like a vinyl soundtrack too.
You get a vinyl soundtrack and you get a cloth map.
Yeah. So like I think for me it's gonna depend on how much more expensive the Jotnar edition is. But the fact that both come with the Thor's hammer is so cool.
Dude, why is this the coolest looking version of Mjolnir easily? Because the Marvel one is just like hammer. This one is just like, look at the runes etched into the hammer.
Yeah, it's like oh, it's covered in runes, and it's
also
not
Thor's fat and a piece of shit. And you're like, oh right, I forgot.
Well, then like it's hard to describe, but like the Marvel version is like a brick or whatever, like a brick with a handle.
Yeah,
but the one in the special edition is like curved a little bit. Like I don't want to say it looks like a Minecraft axe, but that's like kind of the shape it is. And but cool. It's like a Minecraft axe, but cool.
Yeah, no, it's pretty dope though. If I'm gonna get a physical edition like that, I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna get the Jotnar. There's just it's either Jotnar or you just get like the little steelbook and that's it. It's one or the other.
I love how we both have said on this podcast that like I don't have space for any of this shit, and then we're both like, we both want these things.
I'm like, I didn't do so Horizon. I just got the steelbook. I stuck to my guns, and I'm like, I'm gonna get the little steelbook. I'm not getting the giant fucking elephant and all that shit. And it's cool, but I don't need it. I don't need a giant statue of an elephant. There's other statues I'd rather have in my house that I haven't bought, so there's no reason.
Yeah.
And Horizon was great. Don't get me wrong, it was fantastic. But then God of War, I'm like, fuck, it's God of War. I have to get it.
It's Mjolnir's hammer.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Thor's hammer.
They didn't do a collector's for 2018, I don't believe. It was just the game, if I recall.
Did they not?
I don't think they did.
I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, you could look it
up. They did do one thing at least because I bought it. It was the PS4 Pro, which was
Oh yeah, but I don't
silver
think they
and
did like a collector's or
yeah.
anything like that.
That's like literally the only special edition console I think I've ever bought, and I wasn't even in the market for PS4 Pro, but I was just like,
I still have my
I
Spider-Man
kind of
3
want
or my
it.
Spider-Man PS4 Pro. I'm like, I can't,
I almost broke
can't,
down for the Spider-Man one too, but I was like, I just bought the God of War
dude.
one. No,
I was almost gonna break down for the fucking Death Stranding one. I was so
that
tempted.
also looked really cool. Like, and the game is like kind of like I like it, but it's just kind of okay.
I still
But
have to play
that
it.
special edition is like super cool.
Yeah, one of my last two 2019 games. Oh my god. But yeah,
I
so
love it
that's
even
gonna be
came with
cool.
like a like a yellow clear controller that was like kind of like the BB pod.
Yeah. So I'm expecting August or September. We're either gonna get a God of War centric state of play, or we're gonna get like a full on like Sony little mini showcase again, or something that's like first
Yeah,
party
I
maybe.
could see that.
Um, but I think in the next 2 months is probably the sweet spot for it though. I do love they just had to go, here's 30 seconds, and everyone's like, all right, fucking take my money, please. Just take my fucking money. And I'm ready. It's like I think 5 days is when the collector's edition goes on sale. So I'm like watching. I'll be watching for that like a hawk. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. But okay. That's the news. Interesting news, I would say for sure. Now into our main titles here. So first up, we're gonna hit Stranger Things 4, and then we'll hit The Boys season 3. And I've got, I think, so here's the thing. When I was at Disneyland, there was a lot of lines, and other times I'm waiting at the hotel or whatever. I had a lot of spare time. And what I did, I finally was concocting full little outlines and notes on everything in my backlog list of movies and shows that I want to talk about. So now I have all these more cohesive notes I can read off of just like getting my stuff instead of being like, oh fuck, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't remember what I was talking about. It's gonna be hopefully a lot more cohesive, and I'm gonna try to keep that up from now on. I did with the Stranger Things and The Boys when I got back, considering that didn't finish until after I came back from LA. So we'll see how. Maybe I'm hoping this will improve the quality of the shows. I guess dialogue points and whatnot, but we'll see. We'll see. So Stranger Things 4. First thing I got off on here for sure is I strongly think it is better than seasons 1 and 2, and potentially on par, or at least on par with the first season.
Oh, I had so much fun with the season, and like, dude, it's so much more violent than the previous seasons. Like,
Oh, this is
dude,
violent
the
is an
scene,
understatement. It's more
like,
grotesque than anything.
oh, absolutely, dude. Like the scene with Chrissy in the trailer when her limbs start going nuts, I was just like, oh god, why? And like her eyes get like sucked into the back of her head. I was just like, why? This is Stranger Things. What the hell is happening?
I
Like
mean,
that was
stranger things are occurring apparently.
for real. I mean, that was dark and gross, but also, oh god, I keep forgetting his name.
Vecna.
No, the D&D guy.
Oh. How did I just forget his name? Eddie.
Yeah, right. Eddie, dude, he was my
Which I
favorite
think
character.
is you notice like he has Iron Maiden, and they're like, you call this music? He's like, this is music.
I love that.
Uh
Dude, he had the
I think
best scene in the show, I think, just for
the
the rock out on the top of the trailer in the the
on top of the track. Yeah. In
oh my
the upside
god.
down.
Upside down. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like the
The
underside.
the name of Eddie, I'm pretty sure, because it was, I think there's a full Iron Maiden thing there, because besides the music and everything else, that skeleton guy in Iron Maiden, the like mascot, his name is Eddie.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So I thought that
I could
was
see
really
them sneaking
cool.
shit in like that.
Yeah, I only know that because one of my buddies also, oh, he's been on up to now to it, and he's been on Sad Watch, but Roman, he got me into Iron Man to the point where I actually saw them live in Oakland at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Oh my god, it was so fucking good. Yeah. But yeah, definitely one of the better things. And I thought it was interesting how they brought in kind of real stuff, because the whole thing was, I think, like 70s, 80s, and maybe not the 80s, but actually maybe the 80s. For a long time when D&D first started, they considered it like devil
Oh yeah, I
shit.
love that they actually brought in the whole thing where people were like, "Oh no, these kids are worshiping the devil."
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck you guys talking about? And what did I put in here? It's like D&D is the devil's work was a real thing. It was real. That was a big thing in those decades. And
Dude,
it's just like
there's a YouTube video I watched at some point that made fun of a movie that like some church made that literally, and it was like a movie made within like the last 20 years of like how D&D corrupts your kids, and like it's a cult. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck?
It's just, I think it's funny how that is like the thing that I think I put in the notes. I called them common people. I'm like, just goes to show the ignorance of common people.
Yeah,
It's
and
like from witch trials to even today, like right now, we're dealing with that shit again, more or less.
Yeah, sadly, like people will always look for scapegoats to blame for things that they don't understand, and like when shit goes wrong, people want an explanation for why.
Yeah.
And so I thought that like Stranger Things did that so perfectly here, where like shit's going crazy around town. People are dying in grotesque ways. And like I could see how people could be like, this is the work of the devil. And these dudes literally have shirts that say like the Hellfire Club. Maybe there's a connection there. And like, of course there's not, but
yeah,
it's just like I could see how dumb townspeople from the 80s would maybe think about that.
yeah. It's it's the thing where I guess I'll get real for like a second, but it's the thing where you see how a lot of ill-educated people react to something that they don't understand. And when they try to, with that scapegoat, they manifest that stuff so they feel like there's something that they are capable of doing something about it, even if it doesn't. But it's just like this way of just coping because you don't understand, because you lack that understanding and education. And I guess I don't want to say you lack the intelligence, but I feel like they do. And you see that even now, unfortunately, a lot of time, which is pretty crazy how it just is a repeating thing. It's like, oh, you know, maybe we'll fix this stuff after the 1700s, after we stop burning people alive because we think they flew in a broom or some bullshit. And it's just like, well, did we fix it? No, it's still the same. We just don't throw them in the water with a giant stone anymore.
Well, there's like a time where people who could like predict like the seasons or whatever, because they just like keep track of shit and use math, would be like, are you a wizard? Because you're predicting the future. And that's witchcraft. That's evil. Like that.
I know. It's like, bro, no, he's just smarter than you, dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh God, stupid people make me laugh until they try to kill me, and then they have to be dealt with accordingly. But a big thing here, I thought, which is hilarious, it's kind of, I guess the two things, actually all things that try to hit the nostalgic feeling of like the 80s. If you notice, they really, really emphasize on music. We've seen it in both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and we've seen it now in Stranger Things, especially this season with Kate Bush and Journey.
Dude, I love that Kate Bush is like super popular now again.
Dude, she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotta be such a weird experience to be like unheard of nowadays. And then like all of a sudden you're famous again for a song you wrote decades ago.
Yeah.
Because some random show put it in a few scenes.
I mean, a lot of music is just like most other things that trend and don't trend. They're cool, you listen to them a shit ton, and then you throw it aside for the next new thing.
Yeah. And it's like that song is still good.
Yeah.
It's just not new to you. So maybe someone else one day might hear it and it blows up again.
Yeah. And especially now, I mean, obviously not everyone that's watching, most people probably not watching Stranger Things didn't grow up in the 80s. We didn't grow up in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we did Kate Bush and 90s.
I do love 80s music though. Like,
oh yeah,
dude, Kiss is like fucking amazing.
Aerosmith, even though I guess they more or less started in the 70s a little bit.
Van Halen.
Yeah. I mean, basically rock.
Yeah.
Like 80s rock. That's like a whole genre right there. But
Twisted
yeah,
Sister.
Kate Bush was that running up that hill was great. And I think just talking about that scene where holy crap, what is her name? I already forgot. Sam. When Sam's escaping and they're playing that song, it
fits so well.
Thinks so well, where I think that scene it's so successful because you really do start feeling something. Like it gets the audience actually emotionally and energetically involved. Like I
Yeah,
felt like I was
it's so
actually
tense because like
putting energy into it.
and I think one of the reasons why it works so well is like you've seen several times, at least, yeah, like 3 times now, like because Sam was supposed to be the fourth and last one. Like you've seen what happens when Vecna gets his victims, and it's horrifying, and you don't want to see it happen to Sam. And so you're just like, oh God, I hope she gets away. And he's like throwing shit at her. And it's so suspenseful. But then, yeah, like the music on top of it is just like even just like the theme is like running up that hill. And it's just like, it works on so many levels that, yeah, like it hypes you up emotionally so well.
Yeah. And of course, you know, it's not when they're doing this, they don't play the exact song, like they oomph it up a bit. They did that for this.
Yeah.
They did that for Separate Ways, the Journey song that they play. That's like, one day love will find you. Yeah. And they really do put that little spin, and that spin is enough because, you know, you play the song on its own, it's that song that you played before and you're like, cool, it's the song, and you can like kind of throw your imagination into whatever you want it to be for the most part. But when they do it with like the show and tell, you're getting the visual right there and you're watching, and they're like, we want this to feel emotional, we want this to feel, or more emotional, more just stakes, you feel like it's more epic. There's like a lot of risks happening when they pull this off, and it's just, yeah, it's just so good the way they do it. And I really love the fact that it's nostalgia within nostalgia. So like, you know, Stranger Things, you're enjoying it because you're like, wow, 80s nostalgia. I really like this, even though I was never born and saw this stuff. And it was actually bad if you weren't white because it kind of sucked still. But
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, you know, this is really cool. And then, you know, Sam is within it and it's like, oh, what's something good for you? Oh, all these nostalgic memories of your life. And it's like, oh my God, it's like nostalgia within the nostalgia they're utilizing for the good there. And I'm just like, you know, only the show could probably pull this off. That's pretty great. That's a smart move. Okay. The other being, you know, like I said, they were doing Separate Ways by Journey, and during that was the drive, the trailer drive that has all of them ready to go into the Upside Down, and like the Sinclairs ready to go into the
Getting
house with
hyped,
Sam,
getting ready.
and you feel it, and you do feel like you have like Steve and Nancy looking at each other and stuff, or more so Steve looking at Nancy, and like Robin and all them, Eddie, Dustin, and the Sinclairs. And you're just like, oh my God, you feel it. And you also, that music is playing, and you do get that feeling where you're like, oh shit, not all of them are going to survive. You do feel it. You definitely already get the inkling when it's going to happen. And you're like, who's it going to be? And I was actually a little surprised by who it wasn't, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I think the music there and those scenes that came along with the music were just really well done. And probably
it doesn't hurt that I fucking love that Journey song.
Oh yeah, you know,
everyone does.
I remember I was at school when I was like playing that song a lot, where I found it again and I saw the music video, and I'm just like showing my girlfriend at the time, like, look at this, look at how dope they are in the 80s and their mullets and shit. And she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, it's cool, it's the coolest shit ever, trust me. They play in our city a lot, it's great. We have them on Giants games. Oh my God. So I think the big thing about this season that would have made it make or break was the fact that they had so many subplots going on in this.
Yeah, like they had the Lucas football team, no, basketball team thing.
Well, not even that. I mean, like they separated the crew into
that
four
too.
main. You had Russia Squad. You had pretty
what's
much
Mike's brother's name?
What?
Mike's brother, that he was like a stoner this season. Oh, like,
oh no, that was Will's brother. That was Jonathan.
Right. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
okay.
Jonathan and Will Byers.
And so the pizza guy, dude. I don't know if I like that guy or not, because he's like
Argyle.
funny.
I mean, he's supposed to be the California representation. You're just kind of like, fuck.
Like he's so funny, but he's also so stupid.
He is. Oh my god, he's incredible. I
Like
love that every surfer pizza guy is a fucking
yeah,
idiot.
like I
It's
love that
just a
they go to the
stoner.
other pieces, the other like surfer shop pizza place, and it's just like, what's up, my dude? Like, oh,
Oh,
dude, it's another pizza dude.
so fucking dumb.
Uh,
Uh, I hate people so much.
and like the speed at which he was willing to just accept, like 11 has superpowers. They need to get her to like some place with a lot of salt to like boost her superpowers, and they might be able to save the world. And he's just like, okay, my dude, I think I can help you out.
He just, he's just a dude, just doing his dude shit, apparently. Yeah. So we had Russia crew. We had pretty much the main crew that was like the full on like upside down crew and everything. The Hawkins home team, I guess you would say. Hawkins home team. You had road trip squad, and then you had 11 in training mode. And at one point, at certain points, they kind of divert a little bit, and so like the home squad gets a little separated with like, oh, here's upside down squad, here's house squad, and stuff like that. But that's more of like just for one episode, whereas like the entire season, a lot of these characters never get to interact again until like the very end
Yeah.
when they meet back up. And not all. Well, I guess Eddie never
Yeah, Jonathan
really.
and Nancy had like that one call in the beginning of the season, and then they embrace at the end of the season, and that's like it.
Yeah, yeah, and it feels strange that they were able to do. So that's the thing. Whenever you do something like this, it could go either really good or really bad, and they somehow utilized it enough that it worked
Oh, and
out
then the
in their
Hopper
favor.
in Russia.
Oh no, that's what I said. The whole Russia squad.
I totally forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. I
It's four different groups.
right. And
There's four different things happening.
I was actually pretty surprised at how well they were able to sync up, like everyone doing their separate things, like in even different parts of the world, and like trying to all come to the same or win, I guess, against Vecna somehow. The only one that made maybe the least amount of sense was Hopper and what's her name? The mom? Like Hopper and that crew.
Oh,
Just like
uh,
deciding to try to kill all those upside down
Joyce.
creatures. Joyce, like trying to kill all those creatures because it just hoping that it might help the kids across the world.
I think they knew because of it wasn't the creatures themselves. It was the fact that the
That
dust,
shadow thing.
the shadow thing went into the corpses of all those things.
Which looked like it might have been a part of
The Mindbender.
Yeah. Or
was it? That's what it was called, right? It wasn't Vecna. It was the
Mind Flayer.
Mind Flayer. Yeah, that's what it was. Scion flares coming to Mars. Oh god, Destiny. Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely you feel like it's crazy how the Mind Flayer is like the main villain for the whole like series, and you forget after last season, he gets defeated, and you're like, oh right, he's still around. I forgot.
Yeah.
Like you don't remember because
yeah,
Vecna
I was talking with
such a
Daniel
good,
about it. This like
I guess, substitute for this season.
Yeah, I was talking with Daniel about this earlier, and then like I had a very different interpretation for what happened with like one slash Vecna finding that like
Slash Henry.
mysterious cloud thing. Yeah, like I assumed he became a thrall, not a thrall, but like a servant of that cloud because he wanted to like not be human anymore. Daniel seems to think that he was corrupting that cloud into what he wanted it to be. So I'm now very confused what that that scene where he was explaining shit means.
So I think it is still the Mind Flayer corrupting Henry.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense that he would start it all. Just like, oh, I got Cloud. It's like that's some Prometheus alien shit.
Now I'm like so looking forward to season 5 because that's the first thing that they talked about was like it's going to explain what the upside down is.
Oh yeah, you're expecting the full origin and everything
because it's the show's been very cool, but like it would be kind of disappointing to me if they didn't explain at least like how 11 was able to contact this other dimension, let
And it
alone
is
like
the
what it
final
is.
season as well.
I think they've
I,
said that, yeah.
I think they said 2024. I think I could be wrong, but I don't think it's coming for like 2 years.
Damn, like a whole year away. Well, yeah,
No,
more than a
two
year away.
years away. Yeah. I'd expect.
Uh,
You know what's
oh
crazy
well.
too? The fact that they
Yeah, because it'd probably be summer too.
may give this a higher budget than Game of Thrones.
I could see that. The effects in this were fucking amazing.
Yeah, it looks better. Yeah. You don't have fucking, hey, we have your battle at night. We can't see. That's, yeah,
Dude, that
I know.
episode was so
Isn't it
fucking
great?
dark. I remember watching it on my computer and being like, is there just something wrong with my computer? Like
Can't have a
it's
dragon
so
wolf at the
dark.
same time. It's impossible. You need $100 million. Otherwise, you can't do it.
We have enough budget for one scene with a dragon and one scene with a wolf.
You get
Not at
one
the same
animal
time.
only. Now we kill off all animals. Fuck you. Well, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do this to me? Oh God. Thank you, Game of Thrones. What
Hey, we never went back to the Nymeria storyline. Fuck it, no one cares. I care.
Look, it's Wolf. Bye, Wolf. Say bye, Wolf. All right, you saw Wolf. Aren't you happy? You saw Wolf. We killed the other wolves. You piece of shit. Oh God,
At least Joffrey
horrible,
died. At least
a
you got
horrible
that.
half show. God, half that show is atrocious. But
Yeah.
anyway. All right, I guess getting into it, how did you feel about each individual? I mean, not individual, but each like sub arc or subgroup. Like
Uh,
we had Hawkins' home team, which I think was my personal favorite
yeah. I think
of
my personal
everything.
favorite was definitely like Sam and Lucas and
My
the other the other two kids. Like that, those were my favorite.
I mean,
Um,
Steve, Nancy, and all them. Robin,
yeah.
Eddie.
11's storyline was interesting because she got to learn more about like what happened to the other kids and like it
That
wasn't
was
really
very
her fault.
interesting
Like
because that's also what we were wanting to know. I feel like forever now because we saw what was it 8 in season 2, and we're like, cool, it's 8,
yeah,
and then
and she's 11. And so we're just like, well, obviously it would be really weird if they just like started at 11. So there have to be at least 10 other kids.
yeah,
So
and
that
we
was an
get the
interesting.
other kids, and then they're like, look, here's all your kids. They're like, cool. Oh, they're dead.
Yeah.
Just like, well, now we know what happened to them all. They're extinct, except for 8, who's off doing British shit,
Yeah,
being a punk
one just
rebellious
like
person.
yeah, one just destroyed a bunch of kids like Anakin style.
I mean, they trick you in the beginning. You think that 11 killed them all, and you're
Yeah,
just like,
that
oh
was really,
shit.
I really liked that they
Yeah,
were able to
that
pull
was a
that
good
off.
twist. That was a very good twist.
Yeah.
Do you remember what 8's powers were? I don't know.
Oh, the one in the beginning? Was that the kid?
No, 8 was the one in season 2. That girl that 11 goes out with for a bit. The one that escapes.
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Now seven's was interesting. He's like he could sense everyone, and then
Yeah.
he just like gets
Yeah, he's
got.
like, there's so much screaming.
He's like, oh God, they're dying, and he's like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool. I was also not expecting Papa to come back either. I forget his actual name. I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, I guess we're just gonna call him Papa.
And then we had the other Hawkins group, which was like Nancy and
Well, I mean, that was one group, really.
oh, so you want to count that all together?
Yeah, the Hawkins home team. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's 4 groups. You have Hawkins home team, you have Russia group, you have 11, and then you have road trip crew.
I'd
That makes
say
sense.
probably okay. So I'd probably say the Hawkins group was my favorite. Then 11 was my second favorite, just because we got to learn more about like the other kids, and we got to see 11 like remember her past and get past her like mental blocks and stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of get more of like her papa and stuff like that. And then as much as I really liked, I love Hopper as a character, and like the shifty like plane pilot was hilarious.
Oh, dude.
But I might put the road trip crew of like just slightly above the Russia storyline, just because like it felt like it had more direct importance to the story up until the Russia thing was just like, hey, maybe if we kill these things, it'll help out, because like we saw that shadow thing and now it's like in the other monsters. Like maybe it'll help. We'll see. But the road trip crew, I just like I don't know. I thought they were so funny. Like especially Argyle. Like I wanted to not like that guy, but he's just so funny.
No, they were great. Yeah.
And yeah, just like the whole Mike trying desperately to find 11 and like patch things up with her and stuff like that. Like I really liked that. And it was interesting to see like Will is like he might actually be in love with Mike,
Yeah.
and
Will's definitely gay.
he just like can't bring himself to talk about it because like especially at that time like that was
Yeah, it's the Eddies.
really
You're like,
yeah
oh, and
because
it's
like
just like we learned last season that Robin's a lesbian.
and you get that scene with Robin where she's like, you know, Mike is not Mike, Steve is like, just talk to her, like the other girl in band that you want to go out with. And she's like, yeah, easy for you to say, like you talked to the wrong girl and like it's just like a an embarrassing story. I talked to the wrong girl, I become the town pariah. Like, yeah, that's unfortunately that is what happened to a lot of people back then. That's fucking sad.
And it's like
still happens.
Still, yeah, it's a fucking gamble, which it sucks depending where you live. Luckily here at least we were raised pretty easily where it was like, yeah, it's gay, it's always been like this, fucking San Francisco, what'd you expect? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the cast is awesome. It's so colorful.
Yeah. COVID shit. Oh my god. But I would say so for sure home team is my favorite. 11 was that second favorite just because of the history reveal with everything from the facility, her own powers, and one. I want to say I liked Russia more than Road Trip, but that's only because I was just kind of getting tired of Mike, which I'll explain in a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the way I was going for it. And the way I kind of look at this too is like there are certain points where I'm watching the show and we get to Road Trip Crew, we get to Russia, we get to 11, and I'm just like, I want to see home team. I want to see home team. I just want to see this Steve's squad. That's all I want right now. And I'm like, this reminds me of something that I would watch. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like Lord of the Rings. Like this is like the Two Towers.
Oh yeah, huh?
Where I love the whole movie. Don't get me wrong. I love the whole movie. I love Frodo and Sam. I love Frodo, Sam, Gollum. I love Merry Pippin with the Ents. But all I wanted, I'm like, show me Aragorn. Like, listen, like, show me
like
Aragorn.
each storyline is cool, but you have your favorites.
You have your favorite. You know what you want to see. Where other people are the opposite. They just want to see the hobbits do hobbit things. And I'm like, I want to see these three.
I was one of the ones that like I loved the Ents. Like that shit was cool.
Yeah, and so that's I'm like, yo, I just wanted Aragorn like Gimli nonstop, and that was the same feeling I got with Steve's crew easily. And I'm like, wow, they really pulled this off. And it's like I wasn't annoyed when I was watching the other scenes. I was just like, this is really interesting, but I'm energetic for the next thing with them easily.
Right.
So that was I thought that was really well done that they could do that and get me to react that way for sure. Now I guess getting into the characters themselves, whether it's growth of those characters or just the new ones. I wanted to tackle the new ones first, being Eddie and Argyle. And I guess starting off with Eddie.
He was my favorite of the new season.
He was awesome. Eddie was such a great character. He was like the epitome of like, oh, it's 80s classic rock guy who's a dungeon master. He's like an outcast.
I love it. Like they like before you even see him, they're like, why don't you just get Eddie to move the game? Like, move the game? You're talking about Eddie here. He's not gonna want to move the game.
Yeah, and then you meet Eddie and you're like, oh shit. Yeah, you're like, oh fuck, this dude's even though he keeps getting held back, he can't graduate. And you're like, how old are you?
He's like, this year's my year. I'm gonna finally graduate and I'm gonna look the principal in the eye and give him the finger.
Oh my God, fucking guy. But he is so fun because you don't really know what his full purpose is. Like you see him at the end of the first episode and he's like freaked out for the fact that, oh, this girl just fucking
dude, his reaction
shriveled up in front of my eyes in the air.
Yeah, his reaction to her like flying up to the ceiling and like her bones twisting was literally that's probably what would happen to me if that happened right in front of my eyes. I'd be like, what the fuck is happening?
I mean, you don't no one really expects that kind of thing to happen. So when it does, you're a little shocked, just a little bit. But he, gradually is just on the, he's on the run. He's in hiding. And they're like bringing him stuff. And that's all we know about him. Like, we're just like, okay, this is like a minor character who is just doing his thing there. And he's more of like he's like a side piece than the main crew right now that's in Hawkins.
Yeah.
And then once we get to Steve going into the water, and then Eddie eventually going into the water too, is where we see, oh, he's getting involved now. This is getting interesting. Like, what's going to happen next here? And we get to see, like, we watch like him gradually become one with the group, whether it's fighting in the Upside Down to helping them prepare and like not even care about the fact that he's being hunted, but more so being like, oh, hey, like, we got to stop the town. He joins the squad of, we're going to stop the town from being destroyed. And then,
well, I love like the scene where they're like, tell us what happened. He's like, you wouldn't believe me. And they're like, trust us, we might believe you.
Yeah, and then they explain everything to him, and he's just like, oh fuck, this is even worse than I thought. But it gradually ends up with his own demise by the end of it, being a distraction. Sad. Yeah, and you could see why he does it.
His last words, or sort of last words, are just like, I didn't run away this time, because like that was his thing. It was like the entire season, like one of the first things he said as a dungeon master is like, it's totally acceptable to run away and come back and or do another thing or whatever. Like, his thing was always just like, if it gets hard, you can run. And so this last time where it really counted, he was like, this might not end up well for me, but I have to do this just so I can like at least feel proud of myself. And just like, I can't run this time. I have to help. I have to stay.
And it's a big sacrifice, because the whole thing is all those fucking Upside Down birds were gonna go attack Steve, Robin, and Nancy.
Dude, those things were fucking vicious.
Yeah, they were strong. And
it's like their MO seemed to be like holding you down and then eating you kidneys first.
Kind of Prometheus style, actually.
Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of that just now, which I was like, oh, this is
very
actually
mythical.
very poetic, if anything. But it was very interesting. I mean, that's the whole thing. I think the show kind of shows you who you get invested in and who you worry about. Because the entire, I think from the boat onward, I'm like, oh God, Steve's gonna fucking die. And
Dude,
instead it's Eddie. And once it happens
to
Eddie,
they ended that one episode with Steve like being held down by the like upside down birds and getting eaten. I was just like, you bastards, I gotta watch the next episode, but I gotta go to bed.
It's very, I remember, I think that's happened to me too. I was like at that point where I look at the time and I'm like, oh no, I gotta sleep, it's late.
Just one more hour.
I think Eddie, though,
each episode was so long though.
We'll talk about that after the characters, I think, for sure. But Eddie is a shining example of a successful new character, because he is only in one season. You get him and then he's gone, he's taken away from you, and you enjoy that character so much. You're like, this is a great fucking character. He has so much charisma. You like him because he is who he is. He's like not a hero until he is a hero, and you feel his growth throughout the whole thing. But also he's just fun. He makes you laugh with all of his shit, especially when he gets like he gets kind of like a crackly voice when he gets like upset, or like when he's like, this is real music.
Yeah, I love that.
That's so fucking good. But oh God, it's so fun. It's great.
It's just the whole like, are you ready to put on the most metal show that the Upside Down has ever seen?
Oh yeah, and he's like, this one's for you, Chrissy. And that was great too. I
love that the song they chose was like Metallica's Puppet Master or something like that.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. The other character being Argyle, and Argyle, is California representation. And he was just fun. He was definitely just comedic relief the entire time,
for sure,
until his entire like Saul. Then you're like, wow, thanks.
It's just like, what's his name, Jonathan, just like flipping out about his relationship with Nancy, and she's like, you know what you need to do? You need to go back in the van and have some more of the like whatever the name of this street
And
is.
just smoke. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And he's just like, you know what? You're right, man. I should have more weed.
I love that. Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, we'll get to Jonathan, but
I
yeah,
love
like
11 like writing to Mike in the beginning. He's like, yeah, Jonathan is like smoking these funny plants with his friend like now. It's weird.
it's just like, oh
Uh,
God, it was so fucking ridiculous. I don't know. There's not much to say about Argyle. Just like it's like, what can I say about Argyle? He's
yeah.
Argyle.
He's funny. He's got very straight long hair.
Yeah, he's oh my God, his hair is so fucking long. It's ridiculous. And I'm just like, this isn't the state. You don't get it. This isn't California. It's not, we're not like this. You don't understand. Even though I'll be like, yeah, dude.
Some of us are maybe, but
yeah,
not everyone.
I'll say dude a lot, to be honest, if necessary. So that is a
Go to Berkeley, you'll see some people like that.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like a weird stereotype, but it's actually true.
Berkeley's like Hate Street if it was a city.
I don't know if I've ever heard a statement more correct than that.
Guys, you gotta see San Francisco. It's so different depending on where you go, and it's like you think you're in a completely different city when you go to like that different.
That's very
part
true.
Of the town.
It's
You're
a
like,
small city, but very dense, and each like district is so different.
Incredibly different, like really to the point where you even have to change your fucking clothing sometimes because you're like, oh, it's hot, oh, it's cold, oh, it's raining, oh, it's windy.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part.
In the same day, and you're like, what the fuck happened? Yeah, welcome to San Francisco, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, the new characters are cool, especially Eddie. Argyle is fun to laugh at for the most part. The next ones I think would be Nancy, Steve, and Robin, which Robin, we get the whole
I love her thing is like, it took me longer to learn how to walk than the other kids.
Yeah, we learned.
I'm a complete fuck up. Don't trust me.
Robin is literally just. It's funny because you see her in season 3, and she makes fun of Steve constantly to the point where you're waiting for the two to get together until you find out that she only likes girls, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. And
Steve's not her type.
Yeah, and like they become best friends, and it's.
I love that like they're total best friends, and Steve's like, yeah, you should like go ask out that girl and stuff like that.
They kind of wingman each other. Honestly.
And they like, did they start their own movie rental shop? Is that their place?
No. That's the so after the ice cream place was destroyed with the rest of the mall, she got the job at the rental place, and then she got Steve hired as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I forgot that part.
They're pretty much the rental masters.
But dude, that's like such a perfect job for both of them because they're both constantly talking about movies.
Yeah, and it worked out to the point where they were like, yeah, that your friend in band. Yeah, she rented Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she paused it at the fucking pool scene. Like,
that was hilarious.
That was so fucking funny.
Yeah, you know who does that? People who like movies.
So great. Oh,
like, and then they even use it as like part of their investigation later. It's like, wait, we're looking for a drug dealer named like what's his name? A lot of people rent movies here. Maybe there's a dude like that here, and they just like they find someone who's just reading like someone with that name who's just renting like Cheech and Chong movies. They're like, it's that guy. he's a weed dealer.
We found him, guys. That was honestly that was really fun, and really it was just like some
that felt like so Scooby-Doo to me.
Yeah, no, incredibly. Yeah, so good. But
Jinkies, we found them.
Robin is just fun, and you really love her after season 3. You're just like, she's so much fun. Her and Steve are the perfect pair of friends. Yeah, I got to keep reminding myself of friends.
Yeah.
And you really do like, you get that feeling where you see her throughout. I want to say it's like the beginning, the middle, and the end with that other girl in band who you feel like you're like, even as audience member, you're like, she likes girls. She can pull it off. She can get with this girl. Like, I believe it can happen. They can pull this off. It's not going to be like a weird thing.
Well, then just like the way she kind of like looks at Robin like sideways and stuff like that. Like you can tell she's like checking her out.
Yeah. And in the beginning it's like, oh, you should do it. And then in the middle is you see the boyfriend and you're just like, oh fuck. And then by the end of it though, when it's like, oh, the world's ending and we're here doing community service, then they finally,
and she's just like can't stop talking.
And they finally start interacting, and you see Steve like folding the clothing, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that you really see Steve's growth, and that I think like getting into him and Nancy next, like Nancy, um, well, I guess Nancy and Robin too, like their
I
investigative
loved
skills
their
when
like outing to the insane asylum or whatever.
yeah,
Like not only do you get some cool like revelations there, but also just like Robin's whole thing is like, I wore this dress to impress you. I hate it. It's so itchy.
and it worked, and they get through, and you're just like, oh shit, it somehow worked out. But that whole thing where you do realize you're like, oh, Nancy and Robin never really interacted, and they aren't friends or anything, and they become friends, and it's nice, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's really cool. And that whole thing, I love when Robin's like, Steve and I were just platonic friends, like we're not anything, in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
And Nancy's like, well, what do you mean, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. And I love that, like, with well, Nancy, we already kind of gotten so much from Nancy. Like, she is super investigator throughout all 3 seasons or 4 seasons, really.
Well, that and after the first season where like she saw how dangerous shit can get, she's just like, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to defend myself and I'm gonna learn how to shoot a gun.
I have guns. Yeah, she's the
Yeah.
only one that's like, I have guns, guys. I have like a lot of guns, and I'm like, oh my god, so good.
Like,
Mhm.
dude, I love the interaction with her and the jock dude when they're in the gun store and he's just like, Nancy Wheeler with a gun. She's just like, yeah, so
So great. Yeah, oh my god. But the whole thing with Steve. So I think I've said it before. I think I said it last season, but Steve is my favorite character. I
he's so good. I
I
love that
love
guy.
Steve. He
That's
is my
probably why
number one.
I got so much more stressed when I thought he was gonna die because I was just like, he's like the heart of the show.
Yeah, you don't expect it. That's the whole thing. Ever since season one, you're like they
Yeah, he
try
was like
to
such a shithead in the first season, and then he gets his ass handed to him, not like physically, but just like he he basically gets what's coming to him, and he learns from it. And at this point, like he's such a great likable character. Like it is a great arc that he's been
yeah.
on.
And the whole thing is like it wasn't his parents, wasn't anyone. Like it's this guy on his own had all this growth, but he even says it in the show, like, Nancy, it's because of you, like you're the one that
Yeah,
did all this. You
I love
made
that thing.
what you made me a better person. And that's, I think, the throughout the entire show, I think that's the bet more than anything Jonathan has ever said. That is the best thing anyone's ever said to her,
Yeah.
easily. And you really do feel for Steve when he's like, I want 6 little
Yeah,
what was
he wants he wants like a bunch of kids, and he wants to rent a like a Winnebago or like or whatever you want to call them, like one of the like motor homes, and just like tour the country with his family every summer. And it's just like that's such a 80s like American dream thing to do, but that also sounds so nice.
it does.
Like with the
And
right people, yeah.
it's also funny because you're like 6, and then you think, oh right, fucking all 6 of the kids. Like there's 6 kids,
Oh,
not minus
I didn't
the
even think of that.
yeah, minus the Sinclair sister. Like there are 6 of them. That's why I'm pretty sure why he says that. Because the whole thing ever since, what was it, season 2 or 3? I think it's season 2. By the end of it, you're like, oh, Mama Steve. Like Steve becomes the mother of
Yeah.
the pack. Like he's the den mother.
He even keeps saying that. He's like, why am I the one who's always the babysitter?
It's so great how they somehow worked that out. God, I want to almost go back to season 2 to remember, like, just to watch and see how that even fucking happened.
Dude, talking about all this now, like for some reason, it's making me want to start the show over again from the start.
I'm
Even though
gonna
there's so much shit to watch and
I'm
play
gonna
that
do it when season 5 is coming out. Like when it's
maybe
like
yeah, maybe it's
when it's a
closer
month
to
out
that.
from season 5's premiere, I'll do like the countdown and just start like hitting out like a season a week or something.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So just wait 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you can watch together. There's too many other things. There's too many other things to watch right now. But yeah, Steve, it really shows you how much you care about Steve, because the minute he goes to the Upside Down and he's like dying, and you're like, oh God, no, please, that's my favorite character. Please do not kill my favorite character. But I also
Anybody and one but him. Take me.
yeah, take me, not Steve, please. And it's such a fulfilling scene to see like Nancy save him, and you're just like, yes. Yes, and that I never get invested that much in like high school or call whatever the fuck, like the young love shit that happens in these shows. But like with Nancy and Steve, I'm just like, how did we get here? Like we had them in season one,
Like I
and
almost
then her
forgot
and
that Nancy
Jonathan
and
get
Jonathan was.
together.
Yeah, I almost forgot that she and Jonathan were a thing.
Yeah, and because the whole thing is long distance, and I'm like, from personal experience, I'm like, oh, long distance.
Yeah,
What
that
the
shit
fuck are you
doesn't really
guys
work.
doing? Don't do that. That's stupid.
Like
Yeah,
it can work out sometimes, but it's very rare. You have to
yeah.
be very patient.
And, or there's like a full like endpoint of when you know long distance is going to end.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolute shit.
Indefinite long distance is definitely like really, really
And definitely long distance. That's just it's a no go, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's a no go. But the whole thing of it was like it felt weird, and the fact that they also were like, well, why didn't this person come visit me? And neither does, and they give reasons, and then Jonathan's like, well, I got to take care of my brother, and she would understand, but she wouldn't understand. I don't know, the whole thing. Like Jonathan just was like, my mom and brother need me, we're not coming back probably, so this is just kind of what's happening, and I don't want to hold her back or something. uh at the same time though, like they come back like it's nothing, but they're like, are we good? And she's like, yeah, we're good. And you definitely feel that, like, I think they probably are going to break up in the next season,
Yeah,
and
I could
Steve
see
and
that.
Nancy might get back together, and you're going to feel weird because in season one, I think that's what this show kind of does, is it makes you change the way you're thinking. Where in season one, you are kind of like, oh my God, Jonathan and Nancy, you need to get together. And by the end of it, Steve and Nancy are still together, and you go, oh, damn, I can't believe it. And then season two happens, and then it finally occurs, and you're like, yeah. And then season three happens, and you're like, oh, well, they're still going strong. And Steve and Robin get together. Oh, that didn't work out. Never mind, completely wrong. And in
Yeah.
season four, you're like, how am I back to wanting Steve and Nancy together again? What the fuck? What? How did you do this to me? Like, what? How did you trick me like this? And yeah, it's just well done there. Very well done. I applaud them for what they've done. Uh, moving on to the other characters, though, we had the Sinclair siblings, which finally, you get more from the sister. This entire time we've had the sister as like this little pest, I guess you could say, for the group,
Oh yeah.
and she becomes the D&D replacement, and is like, oh, I'm
Dude, I
very
love that
capable.
scene where Eddie's just like, yo, did you just bring your like friend's sister here? And she has like no idea what, like, okay, fine. What character do you play? And she's just like, here's my stats and shit. And they're like, oh, okay, sure, you're in.
Yeah, yeah. So like Erica is doing all this stuff. She gets fully invested, and even invested in the group, where she's risking her life as well,
Yeah.
not even questioning it. And she has her own friends too. I just love that, like, she kind of like gets the promotion where it's like, you are no longer middle school
I love
hangout
her thing is
person.
just like just the facts.
Yeah, she just goes into high school with the rest of them, even though she's a middle schooler, and she's now like inducted into the group. And it feels good because I love her attitude in the
Yeah.
first like beginning, where she's like, are you kidding me with all this shit? And by the end of it, like, she's able to kick a high school basketball player in the balls,
Yeah.
I think.
Dude. I also love that line where like she is like giving Lucas shit for something and he's like it's like she's making fun of how he like was on the bench for most of the season anyway, and she's like, and he's like, well then why did you even come to all my games? And it's like, because you're my brother. Like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, it was very, very sweet. And then Lucas, like, his whole thing, like, starting off as a jock, and he's trying to like, he's doing it for himself but also the group. And you
Yeah, it's
do.
like I liked how he phrased it of like, I'm tired of being made fun of, and like I'm trying to give us an out and give us like an in with the cool kids, and like we don't have to be the freaks anymore. And the other kids are like, well, what if we don't want to be one of the popular kids?
Yeah, they like being freaks and shit.
Yeah,
But
like D&D is fun. I like it, dude.
yeah, and Lucas, he changes by the end of it, or he turns it
Well,
around.
yeah, especially because like the jocks go like fucking nuts.
Yeah, no, they lose their, because they're part of that whole uneducated group that's like, I don't get it.
Like I love how they witness the dude, like one of their own dudes get Vecna'd, and they are just somehow that just reinforces that, like, oh no, it totally is Eddie. He's got demon powers now. Like, what? Okay, sure, you can go with
Everyone
that.
get
Why not?
guns. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, oh
Why
my
was the
god.
high?
And then,
I love that they're like high schoolers can buy guns. I was like, what the fuck?
well, that and the fact that he was able to go to the town meeting and be like, yo, the D&D club are straight up Satanists. Like, everyone go get your guns and find these dudes and get
I'm the high
justice
school
for,
hero,
yeah,
guys.
get justice for Christie, or whatever. And then that one dude gets up, leaves, and he's like, well, you all heard him. Let's get going.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I saw you. Weren't you at the January 6th thing?
Yeah, right. Which is also going to come back for the boys, strangely.
Oh, you're right. You're right. What
Yeah,
world?
that was a weird part of that show. That was the
Yeah.
only weird thing about that show. Because,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get with it. So yeah, Sinclair's are great. And then who else we have? Will and Jonathan. So the whole thing, Jonathan's just a stone. Like, I think this is Jonathan's weakest season for sure. He's just a
Yeah,
stoner.
no, he was just kind of there.
Yeah,
He was literally the driver for the most part.
he was driver, and then for a second, kind of a exposition to better explain Will's predicament, in case people didn't realize it by then, and they finally kind of talk, and he's like, I miss how he used to talk and everything else.
That was such a great scene.
And I think Will is interesting, especially because he never really had a solid area. Like, first season, he is the kidnapped guy. It felt like The Hangover, where they're
Yeah,
searching for their friend the
he
whole
was
time.
absent for most of the first season. He was just literally like the person they're trying to find.
Yeah. And then second season, he's kind of like a plant for a bit because it's like he's being used against them and everything else. And then at a certain point, he just kind of comes into his own, but then they move, and all of a sudden it's like, oh well, now what? And I think before, his whole thing was like he could use his own experiences, knowledge for them to use against the Upside Down, as well as he had a connection with 11 because he's like, hey, I kind of know what you went through a little bit because I went through this horrendous shit myself of literally running through this place forever.
Yeah. Then he got like somehow connected to the mind flayer, and like, because even at the end of the season, like when they go back to Hawkins, he's like, I can feel Vecna, like he's hurt but he's still here.
Yeah, he still has that feeling there. And then we find out he's coming out of learning that he's gay and everything, and you're like, oh, okay. But especially with
They
Will,
never explicitly say it, but it's pretty obvious.
yeah, you have to, you really, like, how do you miss that? And then with Mike, though, I'm just like, really, Mike?
But dude, he got big though.
He did. I heard about that. I was like, oh, everyone's like, did you see this guy off screen? You're just like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, out of the show, the kid got built. And I'm like, what? What do you
like
mean?
they cover him up in like the shirts and stuff, but still he's just like fucking like
He's
way bigger than everyone else.
Yeah, I don't know if he did that. But yeah, it was interesting.
It's living in California, dude. It's
that
it's the workout mentality.
Exactly. You got
go to that muscle beach.
God. And then of course we had Mike, our final character besides the adults, I guess. Which Mike, I think, was the weakest part of the show.
Yeah,
because the whole thing, he used to be the main character, and like he is supposed to be the main character if I remember correctly. Him and 11.
Yeah, and like Will has the scenery. He's like, you're the heart, like you're the glue that keeps the group together and like keeps us strong when we need like strength and stuff like that. And I was just like, is he though?
Yeah,
at least this season.
This season, he's just like, when he gets to California, he's like, hi, hey guys, yeah.
Like, well, what are you talking about? 11's being like bullied. What do you want me to do about it?
Yeah, he just seems so like out of it, and I'm just like, I just don't like him anymore. He just seems so I just want to kind of throw him. I was like, you're kind of annoying, get out of here.
But then he does have that nice scene with Will where he's just like, he's like, yeah, you kind of broke me out of my like, I can't even remember how he said it, but basically it's just like, you talked real shit with me, and I get it now, and I was being terrible.
Yeah.
I forget exactly the context of it, but he had a scene like that, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. He became self-aware and was like, I need to like step up and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting the fact that, season one, he's supposed to be the most interesting character besides 11. He's the one that's talking, trying to be like, I have a hidden friend in my closet and all this shit.
Yeah.
And when finally you come into this season, by the time we're here at season four, I am more interested out of the four of them into Dustin, and then like Lucas and Will.
Yeah.
Like Mike has been, like Mike's big thing. He even kind of actually they kind of talk about it in the show. His biggest strength of his personality was 11.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says it like, what if she doesn't need me anymore? And I'm like, oh my God, that's why you're the weakest character now. You were focused, you and her were like foil, and the others became more standalone. And
I mean,
he doesn't have a standalone feeling compared to the rest of them.
yeah, like I love that scene in like, what was it, the second season where 11 breaks up with him and she's just like, Mike, I dump your ass. And he's like, what do you mean you dump me?
I think that was season 3.
That was the last season. Okay.
Yeah, because it was her and Sam started hanging out, and then
Yeah.
like she did it, and then they like smiled and like left after, and you're like, what the fuck's happening? It was like her and Sam were just laughing the entire fucking season, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Oh God. Speaking of 11, like she has her whole thing, and so much happens in the season you forget the beginning where she's like made fun of in school, and like all
Dude, that was brutal.
those kids were assholes.
She also like fucked up that girl's face though. Well, not that bad, but
she'll live.
Yeah.
I think they'll move back though now, right? If they got Hopper back, there's no point in not moving back. Yeah.
I love that last scene where like Hopper walks in the door and she's like, oh my God, she thought he was dead.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my God, you're back. It's great. Would Argyle be in the next season if he's like just Californian?
I don't know. Maybe not. He might show up like in like the end of the season, maybe, like, because yeah, he wouldn't have any reason to go to Hawkins, but
he wasn't even there at the end either.
Yeah, so like he might show up if they need him or something, or it might be something like Dustin's long distance girlfriend, who they actually had a reason to, or they had an excuse to go physically see her this season, which was funny. Her family's weird.
Yeah. Didn't she show up last season anyway? Like she was only new from last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she makes him sing the never ending story song or something.
That was so funny.
That was so fucking weird. God. Yeah. This was, I felt like, I'm like, am I supposed to remember the house that they're at? Like that crazy fucking, it was like a foster house with all those kids, and like one of them is literally like Savage Jungle Kid, and then there's like acting kids, and
like the kid whose thing is just turning off the circuit breaker.
Yeah, and he's like, ah, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my God,
weird.
And then the oldest girl, like the oldest one there, gets like corrupted immediately by Argyle. They just start smoking in the car.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, so 11, like, we get through her whole thing. We said it already, like we learn about the other numbers. We see how everything happened with her and her dad, fake dad, whatever.
Papa.
Yeah. How she originally opened the portal to the Upside Down, the origin of Henry, which, Henry's is very interesting, where it's like, oh, I was Henry, and then I was one, and then I was Vecna. And it's kind of
interesting
crazy
that he just like, he figured out that he was telepathic, or he learned, I mean, when he was a kid, he figured out his like telepathic powers and like literally used them to terrorize his family. And then eventually when he was just like, yeah, they were going to send me to like a hospital and like try to fix me. And so I was like, you know what? No. So I murdered my whole family. Except for my dad, because the exertion almost killed me. And so my dad got away, but just like later blinded himself.
Yeah. Well, no, wasn't it? Yeah, no, yeah, that was crazy. God, that was so fucking crazy. And his dad also was listening to music too, wasn't it? Like he heard music. That's what saved him originally.
Yeah. So also he said that like he never escaped. Like the thing is still like there or whatever. Like, and Sam at the end of the season said like, you know, I can still feel Vecna. I'm still marked by him. Like, so do you think that Henry is still terrorizing his dad as long as his dad isn't like listening to music and stuff?
I guess so, yeah.
That's
There's
fucking
there's a
dark.
potential for it. Like it's not necessarily always like, like Sam took off her headphones and it took a while for Vecna to do the
Yeah.
thing. I mean, it sounds like to me like he actually has to go into the house, set up all that shit just to
Yeah,
project over
maybe.
there. So it is still something
Like he
that
has to
like he's
meditate to focus, I
yeah, he's
guess.
very limited in how he can pull it off depending on how it's going to go. So that was kind of cool. Otherwise, 11's stuff was very straightforward. Like it was just cool learning all the stuff. And, last season she lost her powers. This season she gets them back, which is really cool when she does finally
Yeah.
get them
It's
back. And then
interesting it was like a mental block too.
yeah. And then she crashes a helicopter, which is great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so dope. I was like, yeah, kill them. These soldiers suck ass. God, they were fucking mean. And you can imagine that they're probably gonna help next season because they have to. Just like what was his name? Owens. Because Owens survives, he gets captured. I assume
Yeah.
the general and Owens are gonna work together now and then like approach them and be like,
I love
hey,
that. He's like, take the shot. You son of a bitch.
God, so fucked up. But otherwise, the Russian group, you had that whole thing. Was it the Russian soldier or the Russian guard who turns, and then the pilot? Was it Yuri? Yuri was the pilot, or was
I
Yuri
think that was his name, something like that.
Yeah. But I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. I like the whole like going back to the what were they called again? Those creatures? Do you remember?
Oh, the Demogorgon and then
Yeah,
the
the Demogorgon.
Demodogs.
Yeah, the Demogorgon Demagogues. That was cool. The fact that like they're taking the season 1 and 2 enemies and being like, here's like
Dude, I
they're
love
no
that
longer the biggest annoy. Like they're strong, but they're not the biggest enemy, which
I
is
love that
cool.
Hopper, like, well, they seem like fucking bulletproof though, which is weird.
Yeah,
But I love that Hopper like took the He-Man sword. No, it's the Conan the Barbarian sword. Like they confirmed recently like, that was an actual prop sword from like a specific thing. I can't remember if it was like He-Man or Conan, but like I
probably
love
Conan.
he fights it with a literal fucking sword. I mean, granted, it had also been like hit with a flamethrower, but still.
Yeah, but it was cool. I love fucking like you. You do have a sense of a small sense of worry for a second because you're like, oh God, he has to go in for a melee. Something's gonna happen, and then it doesn't. You're like, oh, cool. All right, we're good.
Oh wow, this sword's actually really sharp. It got through like
Yeah,
real easy.
I mean, it's fucking, swords are swords, man. Swords usually work on everything until they don't.
I mean, it
It
depends on
sucks.
how sharp they are.
Yeah, that's very true. It is very true. Yeah.
Because like they
Uh,
were very clear that like the whole point of that like battle pit thing wasn't to like train the monster to be stronger or whatever. It's just like uh apparently when you just feed a like violent animal, they get bored and they stop eating. So they literally were just like giving it a little bit of sport to keep it alive because
yeah,
that
so it feels like it's earned its kill. Kind of like
yeah
in Jurassic Park when you see the goat and it's like, oh,
yeah.
it wants to hunt it, and then it was like, I'm hungry, fuck it.
So I was actually surprised that like the weapons that they give them were even actually like effective because it's just like the whole point is just like a facade.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I think overall Stranger Things 4, great time. Really, really great time.
Dude, I got so terrified when Sam's like Lynn started to bend. I was just like,
Oh
no, they're
God,
actually
that
gonna do it.
was I forget. Yeah,
They're gonna do
Sam.
it. And then
Shoot, yeah,
she straight up dies, and I was like, oh fuck, they actually killed her. And then Eleven's like, no.
and she also has the guilt of Billy and everything too. Uh, that was
Yeah.
cool, and you figure she'll be back in it probably a quarter to
Yeah.
halfway through. I would say either beginning or quarter or halfway through season
So
5.
my feeling is that like one of the things we saw at the end of the season was 11 trying to search for Sam's mind and she couldn't find it. And when Vecna kept doing his like mind merge thing, he kept saying like, join me, become part of me. So I'm wondering now if like the only way to save Sam, they're gonna find out that the only way to save Sam is to kill Vecna to like release her mind from him.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing
But
too is like, I think 11, I mean, pretty much she saved her life. Like, Sam would have been completely dead if 11
oh,
had
she
said
was dead.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah, she brought her back at least. So
that was nuts.
she
I
did
was
at
like,
least some of that.
okay, apparently 11 can just like reanimate a body.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm expecting 2 years. We'll finally get it. Watch as much of the other shit you need to before then and see, how much of that backlog
It's a
you.
never-ending stream of stuff to watch.
It really, the streamers are really keeping us occupied now. It is actually kind of getting, it's cool, but also incredibly annoying right now. Where I'm just like,
Yeah,
yo, can I have like these movies that I need to watch that I
like
have
I
like a
keep forgetting
box
to
full
make
of.
time to watch the South Park
I haven't watched Streaming Wars
specials.
either. Oh my god, I did part 2 is coming out soon as well. I think. Oh my god, it's so much shit. So much shit. Ah, god,
I gotta quit my job and just watch all this shit nonstop.
dude, I don't.
Not really. I wouldn't do
Nah,
that.
it's not gonna. Don't do that. Yeah, god. But moving on, I guess, to The Boys season 3. So, and we're actually, goddamn, that
Like an
is
hour and a half in, yeah.
yeah. So let's get through this, I guess. I don't think it'll be as long as
I don't think so. It was a very enjoyable season, but it definitely wasn't as like detailed and like different subplots and stuff
I'm
like
more,
that.
yeah, I'm more. This one is just going to be, instead of all the subplots and everything else, it's just more character check-ins, I guess you could say. Like Billy, for Billy Butcher, this was a very like this was his dark turn story arc. I put,
Yeah, he's going down a dark path with like vengeance at all costs.
yeah, he's to the point where he's pushing his allies away. He's severing his relationship with Ryan, and it's just incredibly dark. He's becoming what he hates, like using the superpower to kill the superpower. And he's like, yeah, I want them all dead, and it doesn't matter who they are. And it's just like, I mean, that's a little too much, but we're still.
He got to hook up with Maeve though. That was cool.
Yeah, so random. I was like, what's happening right now?
I love how he's just like, yeah, I hate your whole kind. You're all terrible pieces of shit. Because like, the V doesn't make you the way you are. It just makes you more of who you are.
It's basically now you're who you are without the limitations you had before. So now you can kind of,
Yeah.
it really shows you who you are. You're like, oh well, what would I do with it?
And
Then
somehow that really did it for her. And she was like, yeah, you know what? We are terrible. I need to fuck.
yeah, pretty much. And like the whole thing there too, like he pushes everyone away in a different way. Like Mother's Milk, MM. Yeah, I really like calling him MM more.
It's so weird that that's his name.
Yeah. So, and like with MMM, with MM, the whole thing with like Soldier Boy and everything else with Frenchie, he just like kind of treats him like shit.
I
And
felt so bad for Frenchie this season.
yeah, and then Huey,
Like,
Huey treats him like you learn like he's like the replacement for his younger brother that died, and you see that blast to the past as well.
that, yeah, dude, Butcher's backstory is so sad.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then just like watching his brother kill himself because he's just like, you knew when you left, I would not be able to like live with him. You knew, and you still left, and this is your fault. And
Yeah.
like, it's not really, but it's like he could have done something, but it's like, I don't know. That's a hard thing to really put on Billy Butcher because like, yeah, he could have stuck around, or he could have tried to get his brother out of that home, but like, you never know what's gonna happen until it happens. And so it's just like tragic that his brother literally killed himself because he just couldn't live with his dad anymore.
I mean, you also you see everything finally, especially because like last season you get the whole appearance by John Noble, and it's like, oh, it's your dad, and you're like, what the fuck? It's John Noble.
Yeah, I forgot we got that one shot.
Yeah, and finally understanding where his background comes from, like, oh my god, it all makes sense now. But also like with Huey, at least like after that flashback, you see like, okay, Huey is definitely the replacement. You feel all that, and you also feel when Billy's like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure I change it this time. I'm gonna correct it. I'm gonna make sure I don't make the same mistake a second time, and I'm gonna make sure you survive this time by knocking you out.
Yeah.
But
I love how Huey said it. It's like, he did save me, in like maybe the shittiest way possible, but he did save me.
Yeah. So fucking funny. But
There is still something good deep, deep inside of him.
I love that Butcher is pretty much like each, if you use the temporary compound V, it does show you what power you would have had. And
Yeah, and
his
he's like
is
almost
like,
exactly Homelander.
yes. And you're like, that's unsettling.
I also love that Huey has like teleportation, and but it doesn't take his clothes.
Yeah, it's similar to that of what was his name? The invisible guy?
Oh, I forgot about that guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in like the first season. I totally forgot about him.
It doesn't matter. It's okay. That was always weird. They never made a suit for him that could like go camo with him.
Yeah,
It's just
they,
like I'm
he's
just
just
naked.
he's
I'm
just
in the
naked
girls'
all the time.
bathroom. It's like, why are you in the girls'
That was so
bathroom?
fucking
That was
creepy.
fucking weird. Yeah, that was creepy.
Dude, the Deep had some weird moments in this season too.
Oh, for sure. The deep.
The
So that was like,
octopus stuff.
I mean, like that was the. It's it like last season. It was the whole Scientology thing, and he pretty much like the his wife who is just there to
She's
be.
absolutely there to be his manager, and that's it. And that's it.
Yeah, like she does all that shit to the point where like she was appointed there and she's like, oh, I can make sure we split from the church, we don't need the church. Like it's also, you feel that she's using him at the same time, she's using him because his success is her success, and then finally like she's had it
Well, yeah,
with
like
him.
she has that one moment, or they have that one moment where he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. I got us this far," and she's like, "You got us this far? Okay."
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. What do you mean? Like the Deep is
Yeah,
literally the dumbest person in the entire show. He's a fucking idiot.
he might be. Yeah, for sure. Like, dude, and then like he's like, "I want to introduce someone to our relationship to like spice things up a bit," and then he like pulls a fucking octopus out. It's so weird.
So fucking weird. It's also, she's like, she does the, I don't want to say it's like I forget who it is, but on her own she has her own book and everything else, and she's like, yeah, he sucks, and
Yeah.
it's like
Oh god,
you
I forgot what the name of her like special was. It was like in too deep. That was
into
so funny. Oh my god.
good.
Dude, I
Yeah,
also love the meta shit they do for this show, where like they're like the Twitter account for the boys would post shit like when the episode where Starlight exposes Vought, they put out a statement from Vought that's like, we do not condone the things that Starlight has said, and it's so funny.
oh, it's so great. I mean, even when they did that YouTube, the Cameron, whatever his name, Cameron Cole or whatever, the news guy that's like their Fox News dude, I forget what's his name, he's
Oh
like the Bill
yeah.
O'Reilly or whatever. um like in those YouTube videos, it's supposed to be that full fake news, and it's so fucking funny the way they do it. And I'm like,
They
oh my
put out
god,
a
this,
whole trailer for the Dawn of the Seven.
it's
It's
just like
so funny.
Fox. Like all their new shit is just like Fox, and it's so funny watching just how fucking shitty it is. And then like the best part is all the YouTube comments. Everyone is playing along, and they're like, I really hope Homelander's doing
Nice.
better now after that whole thing with Stormfront and like all these
He
things.
just made a mistake.
Yeah, oh my god, it's so fucking funny. It's insane how good they do outside of the show, putting together the world of the show.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think The Boys is probably Amazon's biggest,
It's literally
yeah,
like the only show on Amazon that I make a point to watch. Like
even though
I
Amazon is basically bought.
yeah, oh my god, you're fucking right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very ironic. I mean, no, well,
Well,
I've said it a
especially in
million
that
times.
show,
Jeff
like
Bezos is literally Lex Luthor, and everyone forgets that. To the point where I say, hello, The Boys and Invincible are two shows where Superman
yeah.
is evil, and they're shown by the company that's run by the guy who's basically Lex Luthor. Of course, he would want to peddle Superman being evil, so you're pro Lex Luthor. It is the most obvious shit in the fucking
Well,
world.
that, and also like there's a lot of jokes in this show about like Vought having like a brand of everything, like Vought Burger and like Vought Cola and shit like
Hot
that. Like,
news.
yeah, like it's literally there's like a Vought version of everything, and I guarantee you Jeff Bezos wants Amazon to be like the everything everywhere, if like someday.
I mean, Thought is basically Amazon and Disney. It's like Amazon Disney's child. and it's horrifying.
I could see that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, there's even like a bot land, and we see it, and then a bunch of people get
I
fucking
forgot about that.
destroyed by Crimson Countess and shit. You're like, oh,
Dude, I love how like she throws a fireball and just like explodes a couple dudes, and it was like, oh god, I didn't think it would do that.
yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Like, I thought it'd
Okay,
light them on fire or something, not explode them.
they gone.
Dude, I love that like Vietnam flashback where like the heroes just fuck everything up because they don't know what they're doing.
Dude, that was fucking hilarious, and also the fact that they had that attack planned though at the same time was insane.
Yeah, dude. And like I almost forgot by the end of the last episode that like the lady watching Butcher's kid or Butcher's wife's kid, that's the same girl or same woman from that flashback. So like when she was looking at Homelander like being put into the containment thing, is like she has history with him.
Yeah,
And his team literally got her entire platoon just massacred. So she like personally is like, fuck this guy.
God, so crazy. But I guess moving on to Huey, because he had his own weird like self-conscious like panic.
Yeah, and it was interesting seeing him grapple with like he does have at least even just a small amount of insecurity that like his girlfriend is literally like not only one of the seven, but just stronger than him. And
Yeah.
he's like
It's the toxic masculinity.
Yeah, and he's like, oh no, initially he's like, no, it doesn't bother me. Like, you're an amazing woman, and like she is, but it's just like there's still, it can sometimes be hard to divorce yourself from like that thought of like, but I'm supposed to be the strong one. And she's like literally stronger than he could ever be. And it's like, I get how you could feel how that's unfair. And it's not supposed to bother you, but it does from time to time. And like, he just doesn't deal with that well this season.
And through it, we see once he gets the V, he's like, oh my God, I finally can do something. And it drives him away from her, or it drives her away from him because
and he keeps saying like, I can save you for once. And she's just like, I don't want to be saved. Like,
and I thought we talked about
I just want you.
Yeah. And the whole thing too with it is by the end, like you find out why. And it's like, yeah, my dad was having his own issues when everything happened with our mom and stuff. And that's where it all stems from. And he tells her that. And it is fulfilling to see like when he does see the fight on camera and he has that last little thing of V, and then he thinks about it and it's like, I don't need to save her. She can do this. And
I love
he just
that.
raises the lights.
He's like, I can help. And he just turns up all the lights and she goes like fucking Super Saiyan.
Yeah. And oh God, that was so fucking
dude.
cool.
And then I love how that they use that for that last line with me. It's like, you don't need my help anymore. Like, you don't, because I forget how she starts. It's like, but she ends it with like, because you can fucking fly. And it's like, yeah, damn, apparently she can fly.
Yeah. And I do love it. She's like, yeah, I remember you were the crying girl in the bathroom and stuff. You had to give the deep a blowjob. It sucked.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, man. He tricked her. That was the worst trick. He's like, yeah, don't you want to be in the 7? And it was like, he's literally the dumbest character. He's the worst part of the 7.
Joke. Yeah.
He's the joke of the 7.
He's somehow even more of a joke than the Invisible Man.
Yeah. He's just also a piece
of just
shit.
Like a naked guy.
Yeah. There's always a naked guy. There's always
he was like surprisingly effective though.
I mean, like there was the naked guy in the beginning who could shrink and he just went into a dude's dick and then
so
blew him
fucking
up.
Weird. He like sneezed and exploded him.
Yeah, it's like he sneezed from the cocaine. It's like, well, as it happens when you do cocaine and you shrink into a man's penis. And
I love like Frenchie is just like, I didn't see anything. He's like, wait, you can't leave.
And he's like, I have to kill you, and it's just like.
And he like shrinks down, and the Frenchie's just like, shit. Like Kimiko comes in, he's like, help me, he's trying to get into my ass.
That was scary. It's like, dude, I don't want a man to get into my ass and expand. Ant-Man. It was, what's funny? That was the Ant-Man Thanos
reference to Ant-Man.
Oh my God, that was great.
I love how there's supposedly like in the Disney, like the Marvel world in Disneyland, they have like a reference to that where he's just like, some people ask why I didn't just like shrink down and like go into Thanos. And first off, gross.
It's for the greater good, though. Then we had, yeah, Frenchie and Kimiko. Frenchie being like, he's done being just like taking orders, especially because you kind of see how much he's abused by whoever is his handler, more or less. And
Yeah.
you see why he's been taking drugs this whole time, also. And at the same time, Kimiko comes to that light, the same thing that you get with everyone else. It's like taking the compound V and everything else, where it's like, yo, this powers didn't do that to you. This is just who you
Yeah,
are.
because she gets depowered and she still like destroys a dude with a rebar.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh my
Or
god, it was
no,
me."
it was like a railroad spike, but either way.
Yeah, she learns it's her the whole time, and then she's like, "Well, I want to help against Soldier Boy and
Yeah, if
everything
I'm gonna be a
else."
monster either way, I might as well be a useful monster with powers.
Yeah, God, it was crazy, but I love that at the end she does the Maniac song,
That was so
and
funny.
she's
She does
doing
the
the little
flash
feet.
dance thing.
She does the feet, and then she starts killing them, and I'm like, yeah, I love
Uh,
that. Frenchie's just doing his thing, and there's a super, and they're killing them, and he goes, "I better try to kill this guy," and like shoots him in the leg, and you're just like, "Why were you even
yeah,
focusing on him? What was? Are you stupid? Oh, you need to die anyway. It's okay." God, it was. They had a good time there. And then of course MM, his whole trauma. That was really cool the way they pull that off with being like, yo, I've always had this trauma internally, and whenever it comes out, I heard it can affect and hurt those around me, but also refuse to share it. And then finally, by the end
yeah,
of it, he learns, he's like, I have to let people know about my trauma so they
yeah. I loved
understand.
his talk with his daughter, where he's just like, "Yeah, like Soldier Boy, like hurt our family a long time ago, and sometimes it makes me sad, sometimes it makes me mad, sometimes I can't control it, and like that's okay." Like, it was a sweet moment with her.
Yeah. And the
But
whole,
yeah, fuck her stepdad though.
dude, the
God,
stepdad is just
hate that guy,
Mr. QAnon.
dude. Like
It's the deep state, man. You know, he's Homelander is showing the fake news and
like
the shit.
I saw it coming, but like that last like moment of the show where Homelander kills that one dude, and like everyone in the area is like, "Oh no, what do we do?" Like this hero dude just killed a dude for just throwing a can. I mean, he did hit his kid, but still, and like and then you see like the stepdad, and I'm like, oh god, please don't make him be the first guy that starts clapping, and he does, and he's just like, god, fuck this guy.
Yeah, you're just like, we have to see him next season, don't we?
Oh yeah, he's coming back.
Yeah, he's definitely coming back. You're like, oh my
Ugh.
god, a new antagonist of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the human antagonist, I guess. Oh my
Which, by the
god.
way, the whole QAnon thing, like, it was super weird this season that they that used Homelander as like a Trump slash Republican Party stand-in of like Soldier Boy is not like he's not a problem you have to worry about. Like you can go outside, it's safe, and like I'm the one that can save you. I'm the only one, and I'm also superior for this. That's also, I don't know. It was a weird thing that I feel like didn't need to be a thing for this season. It was
Well,
interesting that they
you can kind of
tried.
see who they're tailoring it to, who the
Yeah,
audience is of this show.
for sure.
And you can tell probably when a lot of people probably watch that are also going like, yeah, fuck these guys. I hate these kinds of people in this current modern day. Like you can definitely feel that, which is also ironic because it's like corporate, but at the same time too, that's the whole thing with corporations. It doesn't matter which side you're on; they're going to try to tailor to whichever side to be that champion and make you feel like
Whatever
they're on
makes the
your
most
side.
money.
Yeah, exactly. They're going for whatever makes most money. And currently, there are more of, I guess you would call like the people that would watch these shows than there are of the people that they're making fun of. And especially those that spend the money are the people that watch the shows. So they're going to want to tailor it in that direction. Otherwise, if they wanted to tailor it to the ones they're making fun of, it would be a completely different show, I would say. Actually, Homelander would probably be the good guy. Oh god, politics, James. Isn't it fun when they put in these shows? Isn't it great?
It can be. It's just like this one was really
It's just
weird
too
to try
current.
to.
It's too current because it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's also just like I was not expecting, because like the first two seasons of the show weren't like particularly current events like
It got into it
political.
because it's like, oh, that's a Nazi, and we're like, yeah, we all hate Nazis.
That's
And
true.
then
There
in
was
this season,
that.
they're like, oh shit, I forgot they love Nazis.
But it's also like they had that opportunity because the company was started by like Nazi scientists. So it's like,
Yeah,
oh, cool, we have an opportunity to make a comment on like fuck Nazis in today.
yeah,
But in this season, it's like, okay, we're gonna use Soldier Boy as a allegory for the pandemic, and Homelander as an allegory for Trump and the Republican Party. And I'm just like, I guess you could make those comparisons, but it seems a little heavy-handed and weird.
yeah. And then I mean Homelander gets into his own shit where he's just like, I love how at a certain point he's like, show the video, fuck it, I'll just destroy in like
Dude,
this amount of time, I'll destroy the White House, I'll destroy DC, I will take over, I
I'll even
will
burn
start,
down New York for funsies.
yeah, for the hell of it.
And
And
this whole season, Homelander made me so uncomfortable because he's just like, it's so terrifying, the idea of someone with that much power who is that unhinged. Like they could destroy the world. Like it's literally the Batman v Superman thing where it's like he could burn down the whole world if he wanted to. Like, and if there's even like a 1% chance that it could happen, we got to take it as an opportunity, a
an
certainty.
absolute, yeah, it's an absolute
Yeah. And
certainty.
for Homelander, it's like, no, like as soon as people stop loving him, he will turn on the entire world.
Yeah,
And
but
so like,
he's also kind of bluffing at the same time, just because
yeah,
you see he's like, I need, because I never was loved as a kid. I need, this is my only, I need to be loved. That's all I want.
and
That's all
that's
I want
such
to
an
do is be
interesting
loved.
thing is like, even by like as uncomfortable as Homelander made me this season, there were still moments at the end of the season where they give you a glimpse at like why Homelander is the way he is, and like how he just desperately wants someone like him to like him. And he has that opportunity with Soldier Boy, and because he finds out he might be his dad, he is his like biological dad at least. And that's why he so badly wants to connect with Ryan, like not because he you know wants to fuck over Billy Butcher or whatever. It's just like he just literally wants family.
Yeah,
And so it's like interesting that he is this terrible, pretty much irredeemable character, but he's still like, you still feel bad for him because he is kind of a victim of his circumstances, and especially of his like fucked up childhood of
yeah, he
basically just
was
being like
in a
a
lab.
test subject.
Yep.
Like he basically had no friends, no family, like nothing, until they just rolled him out to be like the perfect hero. And that's it.
Yeah, and the whole thing of too, like you see everything he wants, especially when he finds out Soldier Boy is his dad, and he's like, "Please, daddy," and he's just like, "You're a bitch," and he's like, "No."
Yeah,
Like,
like I love that thing where it's like, you I expected more from you. It's like, but I'm just like you. It's like, I know you're a fucking disappointment, which is a callback to how Soldier Boy's dad called him a disappointment before he became Soldier Boy. And then even when he became like the world's greatest hero, his dad's like, you took a shortcut. You're not a real man.
yeah, no one can like pretty much measure up to any of their, you really see the damage parents can cause their kids, or
Yeah,
lack thereof
Jesus.
parents, I guess you could say.
And I'm
um
so worried for Ryan too, because like at the end of the season, he's just like, he sees Homelander kill a dude, and then like the whole like crowd cheers for them,
yeah,
and
I
it's
mean,
just like,
he smiles.
ugh. Yeah,
That
and
was very creepy,
he's starting to learn that like maybe there aren't like consequences. There don't have to be consequences for his
especially with his
actions.
mother absent. Yeah, even though,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, it's also, I mean, obviously it's Billy's fault, like the fact that he pushed
For
him away
sure.
for nothing and gave him this opening to do this, though now
I
you're
mean, he
like,
was trying to keep him away from the violent stuff that was going to happen, but he did not do it in a good way.
and you always know that's not going to work too. It never works
Uh-huh.
that way.
Yeah, no,
It
for sure.
never ever works. You always, it's like you're taking the risk, you're taking the risk. You have to, they just have to know what's going to be the risk.
Yeah.
um God, that was so fucking, yeah. And I almost have a prediction, like, Ryan's going to be a villain in the next season, or at least he's going to be, because it's like you have to
He's going to be
really,
Brightburn.
yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be Brightburn. I'm very curious as to how they're gonna pull this off. Of like, is he going to be someone that Butcher like is Ryan gonna be just a subplot, or is like season 4 gonna be the final season? Like, how many more seasons can they throw into this? Like, what more can they do if we finally come to the point where it's like, oh, Homelander can get away with things now, and there's not really repercussions now if he does stuff like this. Like, he could just kill somebody
Yeah.
and no one can do anything about it. And also the like Victoria Newman's there as
I mean,
well.
not only could no one do anything about it, but like there are people who literally cheer him no matter what he does.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. And it's the whole thing, like, wasn't that a whole thing of Trump said like he could do
Yeah, I
something?
could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and like no one would like people would still support me.
Yeah.
So there's
Hey,
that.
look what they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to see what else they could do after this. Like, you do feel like this isn't like an 8 season type show. I don't think. I don't know. Do you think they could do more than one more season? Like, what else is there?
I don't know
They'd have
because
to
like
introduce another hero that's a villain.
I mean, I don't know because like the next season they definitely went with like Huey's old boss who turned out to be the head popper, like who apparently can just explode any part of your body. She just seems to choose to go for the head first. Because like that
It's
other
painful that
dude,
way, I guess.
like that other dude who was trying to talk to her, who was like an old friend of hers, she like exploded his hand first and then like most of his face, and then to get rid of all the evidence she just exploded his whole body. Like I almost want to know how her powers work, but it's not really important.
Yeah. I want to see
But
her and Huey
so
interact again because, like, they haven't really talked since he found out.
yeah, and she even came out to Starlight and it's like, yeah, I'm the one. Uh, she like tried to make a deal with her to take out Homelander, but then like when, or was that what the deal was? And then like when Starlight turned her down, she went to Homelander and was just like, oh, let's make a deal. And so now she is gonna maybe become vice president, maybe.
Yes.
So that's interesting. And Billy has like 6 months to a year to live. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. And then, we get everything with Starlight with like what's his face? Supersonic, like joining, and she's like kind of building her own little
Oh
mini
god.
alliance. And none of that really works out. I think his name's Alex, but yeah,
I
he
almost
just
feel
gets
bad for
fucked
that
up.
guy, but the fact that he like immediately went to A Train and was like, "Hey, you want to maybe kill Homelander?" And I was like, "Oh no, dude, you're making such a risk here because like maybe A Train might want to be finally done with him, but also it's fucking A Train. Like he's
Yeah, he's a
definitely gonna turn
bitch.
on you.
Yeah, Adrian's a bitch.
Like he will take pretty much any opportunity to get ahead, and like it's exactly what he does. He gets Supersonic killed.
Like, literally just disfigured, which was just like there's like remnants of him. It was just like, oh,
Yeah, I imagine Homelander like ripped his legs off first, just like for fun.
yeah, probably, honestly. God, that was horrifying. I mean, it was, yeah,
Well, like we didn't even get to see like how Homelander got him. It's just he flew Starlight, yes, Starlight, like away and dropped her on a roof and was like, I got something to show you. Here's your old boyfriend. I fucking killed him because he was plotting like to kill me with you. So don't try to kill me anymore, or I'll kill you, but I'll also kill Huey first.
yeah. And then Atrian, speaking of, like, he had his own whole thing of
He had an
like,
interesting arc too.
yeah, where he's like, I feel bad. It's like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. And
Yeah, I love the scene he had with Huey in the Hero Gasm episode where like after Blue Hawk like fucks up his like neighborhood's like community center and like hurts a bunch of people and like including A Train's brother who gets paralyzed, and Huey hopped up on B, goes up to him and he's like, hey, you never fucking apologized for my girlfriend like way back in the first season. And he's just like, you know what, I'm sorry, Huey. Like it is fucked up seeing someone you love hurt like that, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm so fucking sorry, and I actually mean it. I'm sorry. And it's just like, damn, he actually had a moment of like self like reflection and realized that like it also helps that like Ashley earlier in that episode was like, you have like you want to punish Blue Hawk for hurting your brother, like because of collateral damage. You have any idea how many fucking like collateral damage, like deaths of yours I had to cover up? Like, you're no better than Blue Hawk, like, to be honest. And he realizes, like, yeah, I have hurt people. I'm a fucking piece of shit. Damn.
Yeah,
So
and he
it was
finally
interesting to
he
see that
learns
moment,
it.
Huey.
Yeah, and then he, his brother severs ties with him, and then
Yeah.
he does pretty much kill Blue Hawk and be like, you know
Dude,
what?
that's gotta be so weird having Blue Hawk's heart in his body because he's like, dude, I'm being kept alive by a racist's heart.
I,
Okay.
I think he'll pretty much be I think he'll have some redemption death where he's gonna try to come back and do something to help
I
against
gotta hope so.
Homelander, but die doing it. I can
Well,
only assume.
especially because Homelander, like his last scene with those three at the end of the season was like, I I don't need any of you. Remember that. And it's like maybe true, but also I can see how like no one working with Homelander right now is happy working with Homelander.
Yeah,
Like,
to the point where Ashley actually
yeah,
helps Maeve.
and like, dude, well, I don't think she did that intentionally.
Yeah, remember Maeve gets out of the when she sees that Maeve survived, she's like, delete the footage.
I missed that. I forgot. Okay.
Yeah, with the one IT person that the Deep didn't fire.
I assumed that she was doing that because she was covering
No,
Vot's ass. I didn't even think that she was trying to like maybe
have a
do
small
something
stick it
against.
to Homelander. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that was the big thing of
I
that.
feel so
Which
bad for her because at this point she's like lost basically all her hair because her job is like so fucking stressful.
yeah, and the fact that she's actually stayed in that job for that long, you don't expect that to potentially occur. God, I love how she fucks Cameron Coleman like he's her bitch, kind of.
Yeah.
God, it's so fucking weird. Um, yeah, no, but God, it's just everyone that works in VOD just has the worst lives. Practically, they're just like, we're under constant threat from this guy that just kind of treats us like shit. So he makes this guy eat an octopus that he could talk to. This dude he constantly just berates because he has no more speed again. But even then, like he'll just like do something
Yeah.
to him.
It's so weird. He keeps calling him like a fat fuck.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that was weird. Just because he could run. It's like
Yeah.
my heart will explode, and then it did. And you're like, oh, that was the thing.
And
A
then they just
Train
like,
dies, and I didn't feel. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's dead.
yeah, lucky that like Blue Hawk was the right blood type and shit. And also he's a super like a powered heart or has a powered heart, so maybe it can like withstand what A Train needs. Also, the whole thing was like, I saw you eat a bunch of like super meals or whatever earlier. It's like, well, I do need like 30,000 calories a day.
Yeah, which is
Uh,
that is the thing at least to do with like him, and I guess like that's like a whole thing with the Flash is the
yeah.
Flash has such a high
I
metabolism, so he's
I love that he has like super high protein bars. It's just like, yeah, how I eat these like super high calorie protein bars, or else I would like die
insane.
or have to eat
Uh,
like 30,000 pounds of food a day. Not really.
yeah, I think we already pretty much talked about the Deep, but the fact that also the Deep like I think we finally seen for the first time kill a guy.
Yeah, that was interesting that Homelander like whispered something to him. He's like, but sir, that would be treason. He was like, big word, huh?
I think it's funny too because we always see him talk to animals, but we've actually never seen that because even people that just have a specific
Oh
power
god. Yeah,
seem like they
dude.
all also have like a even if their power is like Starlight's is like the light, each one has a specific power. They all a lot of them feel like they have some form of also like superhuman strength, not like different levels of
Yeah,
it, but you feel like
each
they're stronger.
well, even to the point where like when like Huey, all he got was like teleportation, but even still, like when he punched A-Train after the apology, because he was just like, yeah, I got the apology, but it doesn't make me feel any better. He like punches him in the face, and A-Train literally was like surprised at how hard he hit, because he was powered at the time, and he's just like, how did you do that?
Yeah, even like the invisible guy was really strong. Was it the translucent?
Yeah, I think that you're right. That's who it
Yeah.
was.
Translucent did it. The guy that shrank into the dude's dick could do it. Like they were all
Yeah,
really powerful. Um, which is yeah, that's always interesting. That's kind of cool though. You're like, oh, I have this power, but it also comes with strength as well. You could like punch people harder, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's nice. All right, all right, I like that. I like that. Uh, then Black Noir had a very interesting
yeah.
beginning and end there, I guess you
Dude,
could
I
say.
love he's got like a
Animated
whole,
friends.
like yeah, like a whole bunch of cartoon characters in his head, and it's like a Christian like cartoon. So I love like the one of the last things that he saw was like the chipmunk, like the stuttering chipmunk be like,
What's that? Beaver.
was it a beaver?
I think it was
Okay.
Beaver.
And he was like, don't worry, we're proud of you, and soon you'll be in the loving embrace of Christ the Lord.
And they're all just so sad and crying and stuff. Dude, that
Yeah.
was insane how they were able to blend that in because you don't expect it. And they're so well animated though. And you're like, oh, this is great. And the whole thing you do see him talking to Edgar when Edgar is young, and it's like a young freaking
Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, you don't expect that. You're just like, oh, it's young Edgar. And the fact that like, he's still allergic to was it peanuts or almonds? I forget.
I think it's peanuts.
Yeah, and he's eating peanuts in front of him, and it's like a full power play. Like it's like, yeah, you're super powered, but I'm still
Or
like
maybe it's
above you.
almonds. Was it an almond joy that he ate
I think it was
last
an almond
season?
joy, yeah, or he's like allergic to nuts or something. I think it was almonds, yeah. But you see
That's
him
so fucking funny.
you see him eating in front of him, and you're just like, it is a full power. Like he's showing that he's above even a super. Like it's just he's just reminding him like who's in charge here. And like the whole thing of like, oh, you want to take off your mask, you're black. That's not going to work. It's
Yeah.
the 70s or 80s or something. And you're just like, oh, that's fucked. Okay. Um, and you don't really know too much else. You're just kind of like, oh, it's payback. They're the cool team and stuff, and they listen to Soldier Boy, and then you find out like, oh, Soldier Boy
Soldier
was an
Boy is
asset.
like fucking terrible.
Even to them, like even for that, he's basically Homelander, where Homelander also they all hate Homelander or are afraid of Homelander. It's the same exact thing, except I think like where Homelander is always like, I'll just kill you like this. Like Soldier Boy doesn't necessarily kill you, he just beats the shit out of you, like where they do the animated version and he's the eagle. And it's
And
just
even that was like fucking graphic.
I love that though it's an eagle that's voiced by
Yeah.
Jensen Ackles. And then he starts beating the shit out of Black Noir's character, and you're just like, oh, and everyone's like telling him to stop, like even like Crimson Countess, and everyone's like, hey, stop doing this shit. And then you find out why he gets betrayed, and you're like, oh, I get it. And then you see the full fight, and you see how uh Black Noir, you think it's from the Russians attacking or like the Sandinistas attacking. You're like, no, that was from him fighting Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy basically beating the living shit out of him to the point where like that's
Yeah.
what happens to him. And then Homelander's betrayal, like just like killing him. You're just like, oh, Black Noir's dead.
Yeah. Like that last moment with him where he's like, you know, everyone sees you as some unreadable sphinx, but I can literally see through your mask, and I can hear like your heart and all that. I know when you're smiling, I know when you're lying to me. Like, did you know I had a father out there somewhere? And he just like does a little nod, like, yeah, I knew, and it just broke Homelander. And he's just like, I had to, he basically was like, he had to kill him because he was keeping secrets from him.
Yeah.
But also it's just like couldn't deal with the betrayal, I guess.
And the fact that also he's like, I gotta make my dad happy, I guess.
Well, that, and like I can totally see how he's like, he spent his entire life thinking he was alone.
Yeah.
And to know that like someone so close to him for so long knew that he wasn't alone or didn't have to be alone, like, and he just kept it silent the whole time. Like I could see why he would get like, and also like Homelander being so like not in control of his own emotions, like I could see how he could just be like, okay, you're dead now.
Yeah. Fucking gone. Poor. You really do like like A Train. I still don't feel bad for, but Black Noir, you're just like, oh, I feel bad for this guy now. Like I get it. Like
Yeah.
he went through a lot of shit, and now he's just doing this because he's got nothing else. Like he just kind of got fucked up completely. Even though he's still a
Granted,
fuck up
we've
super.
excuse me, like we've seen him come back from some pretty like terrible shit. So maybe he could come back, but I seriously doubt it.
Yeah,
Get
that was it.
literally disemboweled.
Yeah. And then Maeve, we got her kind of like bow out, which is cool, and her whole thing.
Yeah, she lost an eye.
She lost an eye, and it's like, oh, eye patch, go with the eye patch. But she stood her ground against Homelander pretty freaking well.
I love how she literally spent months training for the right opportunity to kill him.
Yeah, and she could have killed him, maybe,
possibly.
and then
Although
she
to
had
be
to
fair,
like,
he literally seemed like he was just more annoyed by her trying to like prevent him
oh
from
yeah.
like saving his son and stuff like
But
that.
the minute she's like, oh, I made you bleed, like he's like
Yeah,
bleeding now, and she's like, oh shit, I did it. Oh my god, yeah, that was great. God, that was cool. I think a part of him too was like, I don't think he could like bring himself to kill Maeve potentially as much.
maybe because he did care for her.
Yeah, to an extent. But yeah, at least she got a happy ending. I was happy about that she's
Yeah,
like free to go and do what
she's
she
gonna go
wanted
be
to
a
do.
farmer with her girlfriend. It's gonna be
Yeah,
nice.
she's from a farm. It was just like, what the fuck? So funny. Oh my god.
Like, man, you got fucked up. Are you gonna be okay? Like, eventually, like a normal person, I guess.
Yeah, and then I guess finally Soldier Boy, who is the original asshole,
I
and
almost feel bad for him because it's like his last words were like, "I'm not going back into that fucking box."
yeah, which you feel a little bit. You're just like, oh,
Yeah,
he's kind of a racist asshole who's just a total just piece of shit, kind of, but he's not unhinged like Homelander.
yeah.
And I
He's
guess
just like a product of his time, where he's just like, you gotta be, full manly man, no
his dad,
emotions.
you hear what his dad was like towards him, yeah.
Yeah,
And he didn't even want to kill everyone, like necessarily, like in the public. He just had PTSD hitting him and lost control. That wasn't even
yeah.
like within his own control, unfortunately, when you
Nah,
think
he
about
was
it.
like super mentally fucked up, and like I love how Huey's like, listen, you got PTSD, like you need to like deal with this shit. And he's like, fuck you, I don't have shell shock.
Yeah, and he like punches him.
Yeah.
God. Also the fact that it's Jensen Ackles is such a great
He was
actor.
a
Like I
great
love, I
choice.
loved him in Supernatural. I just couldn't finish that fucking show. But like he is so great. Apparently there
Sounds like the
was
showrunners couldn't finish that show either.
yeah. Apparently there were plans in the show where even he was like, I can't do that. That is too much. Like I can't go that far. That's too far. It's like,
Interesting.
yeah. And they were like, all right, we won't do that. But apparently that's when they found their limits. But like even someone like Jensen Ackles said that's too much shit. And I was like, damn, that's fucking so
Dude, one
good.
thing I loved about the Homelander thing, sorry, the Soldier Boy thing was like he had his own Captain America type shield, but instead of it being like just this weird special alloy that like ricochets in such a way and like he's trained well enough to use it correctly, it's just really fucking heavy and only he
Yeah.
can lift it. Like
Yeah.
Huey tries to pick it up at some point and doesn't even budge. He's just like, hey, hands off the shield.
God, that was great. It was so good. Honestly, though, I guess if you had to choose between if you had to side with one to stop the other, I guess which one would you have?
Oh god, probably still Soldier Boy, because
Soldier
like
Boy. Yeah.
Homelander,
He at
like
least has the charisma, right?
yeah, and it's like Homelander, we mentioned how like he has his sad moments and like he is somewhat sympathetic at times, but he is so unhinged and so dangerous. And like Soldier Boy is potentially as dangerous, but he doesn't seem as, even though like he literally explodes from time to time, he still seems somewhat less unreliable and less dangerous than uh Homelander, who's like unhinged and willing to kill as many people as he wants just to like be feared.
Yeah. So still Soldier Boy. And do you think that's it for him since he got put into stasis again?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, they could bring him back, but it felt like that was like the last use of him, and it'd be really fucking hard to put him back into that like box again. So
Unless they really do just like it's all out shit with Homelander and they're just like, all right, fuck it, go for it.
even then, like if they like got him out of there again and was like, hey, we're going after Homelander again, I'm not 100% sure that he would even like go for it, because maybe this time he would be like, you know what, my son may be like a pussy or whatever, but at least he didn't like try to fuck me over.
Yeah, that is true.
So
Yeah.
it would be hard to, that would be a gamble whether he would be like worth thawing again. Well, not even thawing, just like waking up.
Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, did you like this season? Which season is your favorite so far?
I might have enjoyed the last season a little bit more.
I think so too.
Like, and I think part of it is just like the interjecting social commentary on like specific political issues into this season was weird. Like they could have maybe been a bit more broad in general with like just the left and the right not agreeing and stuff, but it was just really weird to specifically do Homelander as Trump and Soldier Boy as the pandemic, which was weird. And in the last season, like I mentioned, like they did talk about the whole like, you know, fuck Nazis thing, but it fit at least what was going on in that arc that they were covering.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like I thought the whole mystery of who is Stormfront, where did she come from, like why does she seem to know more than she lets on, and like I was more intrigued by the last season, although I really liked Frenchie and Kimiko's storyline in this, and I really liked MM's storyline in this season, and like even Huey, like getting to see him have powers but then like get over his insecurities at least to some extent and like help Starlight in the end. Like I don't know if their relationship is salvageable,
I think it
but
was. They seemed like they were holding hands and stuff in the end. Like they're
maybe. I did love that thing where he's like, okay, I know every neuron in your brain is screaming at you to say I told you so, but you could just like kind of let it out. He's like, I fucking told you.
she's like, it feels so good.
I love Starlight. She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
But
no, she's great. And now she's an official member of the boys.
so like as much as I really enjoyed this season, and like maybe I'd have to go back and watch like the first two seasons again, but at least for now, the impression I have of after like just finishing this season, I think I still enjoyed the second season a bit more.
Yeah, I think season 2 is probably the best so far still. Because also the Girls Get It Done scene is still my favorite.
That was fucking great. I love it.
Beat the shower, not the
I love the whole like Maeve gets outed and they have the whole like Brave Maeve campaign. She's like, I fucking hate this so much. I just want to be a normal person.
God, yeah, it was all, oh my god, fucking corporations. Perfect.
Yeah.
But I think that's all of it for The Boys season 3. I figured this would be honestly jam-packed just because of how much we would want to talk about these two shows.
Yeah.
But that is all we have for those two. Let's hit the backline. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No. I will say though, I guess closing out here, guys, just to tell you what's coming up next. Andreas no longer can join us for the Destiny Witch Queen Part 2 episode, nor can he really join us for any more episodes, just because I learned stuff he's working on it's very, very draining. I don't want to add to that fatigue of how much shit he's got to do. So he's got to focus on that. I just got to say he's working on some amazing stuff. But yeah, otherwise we'll finish off that part 2 soon. Next week, though, I'm not too sure what we're going to have just yet. It really depends on if I can even go see Thor, because the next things, I guess, we'll see what happens the next episode. It could just be the Destiny episode. It could be anime. It could be Marvel. But we have an episode that's going to come up that'll have Miss Marvel and Thor Love and Thunder. we've got that. We've got Destiny of the Witch Queen Part 2. And we have another anime episode, which I'm going to ask Momo to come on back for, and maybe one other person too. I'm going to see if we can get someone else, though. And we're going to talk about both Spy X Family and Communicate, and maybe one other anime like Ranking of Kings, but we'll see. But those are the next three probably big episodes we'll do. We'll also have a Disney episode again, kind of like that bundle one we did, which had like Raya and The Last Dragon, Luca, Cruella, what was the last? Jungle Cruise. This one would be probably fully animated though. We would talk about Lightyear.
I still need to watch Encanto.
I still got to watch Lightyear, but we talk about Lightyear, Encanto, Turning Red, and maybe the Rescue Rangers movie.
I gotta watch that too.
Yeah, I also have to watch that. So we've got all that stuff, and then we have a backlog of stuff where there's plenty to talk about. I still got to watch like Love, Death, and Robots season 3. But even then, even if I do, it doesn't seem like we can talk about it anytime soon with all this other stuff to talk about first, because these are like the big like flagship things to talk about. But I think after those, James, I don't think there's anything else that's super big. Like we have Nope coming up in theaters at the end of the month.
Yeah, every time I see one of those trailers in front of a movie that I'm watching, I'm just like, it might literally be my most anticipated movie. The next one coming up anyway.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for Nope. But like besides that, I think after we get through what I just talked about, I think it'll be easier to get through the backlog. I do eventually also want to do. I don't know if you'll want to be on this one just because it's going to be very, very much specific to just Gundam, or I want to talk about probably like 4 Gundam shows in a movie. We'll see. I'll probably get Miles for that at the very least. But like, yeah, there's tons still to cover. There's a lot of backlog stuff. But I will say, like I said, even if now it takes longer to get back to those shows where, our mind doesn't remember it as well, so it's harder to talk about it like you've seen in the past, I have now fully kind of like bullet pointed, pulled out like full lines of like what I thought about them. So it'll be a lot easier now, even if it's like older, to really talk about that stuff. So it'll be much more doable than it was before. But yeah, and still focusing on other things and trying to get some stuff done. And I do want to kind of get this show spread out more, work on the TikTok stuff. And because of that, though, like right now, you're just going to get Side Talk and Side Watch, which we'll come back with Side Watch soon. Brandon's in New York, I think, right now, but then we'll do Goldfinger, among other episodes as well. But still working on that Cut of Steel, Where Are They Now episode. But my 2 priorities right now is to get that Cut of Steel episode made, but also get us on TikTok and get us more like visible on all platforms. So we're really kind of reaching out, because I also realized like if I'm not doing that, what's the point of making so many different shows at the same time if not that many people are going to check it out? So I want to get this done first, so that way we're more spread out or more viewed and noticed. So we'll see how that goes though. With that said, you can of course email us at sutrosidetalk@gmail.com. Send us any emails about comments, feedback, questions for the show. Take care of all that, answer it on the show. You can follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Sutro Sidetalk. You can also follow James on Twitter at Invader Jim, and you can follow me on Twitter at CocoComzilla. Once again, subscribe on all platforms you're listening to. It'll really help us out. And if it's Apple Podcasts, give us that 5-star review. If it's Spotify, please rate us. And if it is YouTube, give us a like, as well as subscribing for those episodes you're listening or watching, I guess, if it's YouTube. But yeah, other than that, hopefully next time I'm on here, I should be completely COVID-free and can potentially go to a movie theater and watch Lightyear and Thor. So yeah, have a great week otherwise. So long.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, and Shark Week's coming. All right, bye.